northwest could see another round of deadly ice. Storms over the past couple of weeks have blasted much of the country with high winds and snow, ice, and sub-freezing temperatures, blamed for at least 45 deaths. The severe weather is bringing out a spirit of volunteerism.
Multiple deaths have been linked to a storm system that blanketed the United States with snow, ice, and bitter cold temperatures. In Tennessee, Will Compton, who's an outreach specialist for Open Table Nashville, was out canvassing the city's downtown.
People who are poor and people who are homeless are getting hit the hardest. Branches of the public library have been closed, which is an essential day shelter.
62-year-old Aaron Robinson, who walks with a cane, caught a ride with Compton to a warming shelter.
It's all good, though. I mean, thank God for people that try to help people in the street, you know.
More wintry weather is expected. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The 51st Annual March for Life in Washington, D.C. will step off in a few hours.
This year's march is the second since the Supreme Court struck down Roe. Pro-life leaders celebrated that victory, but acknowledged the movement faces significant hurdles. In recent months, 7 states, including Ohio, Kansas, and Kentucky, have voted to keep abortion access legal. March for Life President Jeannie Mancini has said the battle to build a culture of life is far from over. After a noon rally on the Washington Mall, participants will march to the Capitol building and Supreme Court.
Correspondent Greg Clugston. Following his victory in Iowa, former President Trump says he fully expects a repeat performance in 4 days in the New Hampshire primary. On Wall Street this morning, the Dow futures are up 190 points. NASDAQ futures 116 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Hear that? It's the gentle sound of a waterfall on your hike. And if you were here, you'd take a deep breath of fresh air if you weren't so winded. But you're not here, because your self-care happens out on the road, riding your motorcycle protected by Progressive. And the bugs you wipe from your headlights are all the nature you need. So if you ride, see if you could save with Progressive, America's #1 motorcycle insurer. Get an online quote in as little as 3 minutes, all from the great indoors. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states.
Relief Factor, pain relief that's natural, pain relief that works, and pain relief that attacks the source of the pain. That's the experience of tens of thousands of Americans who are taking Relief Factor right now. See their incredible video endorsements at relieffactor.com and then order your 3-week quick starter pack for just $19.95. That's less than $1 a day. Find out if it can work for you like it works for me by ordering your 3-week quick starter pack today. Relieffactor.com, relieffactor.com. Be the next success story.
A court in Thailand ordering the government to come up with an action plan within 90 days to tackle severe air pollution.
The ruling was handed down in the northern city of Chiang Mai after a lawsuit brought by 1,700 people, including residents, activists and academics. The court said previous governments had not done enough to tackle toxic air. Thailand is entering a period of poor air quality, partly because of farmers burning crop stubble. Last year's pollution at this time was especially bad, with more than 2 million people seeking hospital treatment. A Clean Air Act is currently being debated in the Thai parliament.
The BBC's Michael Bristow. German lawmakers approving legislation easing rules to gain citizenship and ending restrictions on holding dual citizenship. The government argues the plan will bolster the integration of immigrants and will help to attract skilled workers. News and analysis at townhall.com. NATO on the verge of launching its biggest military exercises in decades.
Some 90,000 personnel are expected to take part in months of drills. Top officers say the drills are to show that the alliance can defend all of its territory up to its border with Russia. In the months before Russian troops went into Ukraine in February 2022, NATO began beefing up security on its eastern flank with Russia and Ukraine. It's the alliance's biggest buildup since the Cold War. In the exercises, troops will be moving to and through Europe until the end of May, in what NATO describes as a simulated emerging conflict scenario with a near-peer adversary. I'm Donna Warder.
The Russians say a Ukrainian drone has struck an oil storage depot in western Russia, causing a massive blaze. Ukraine's forces have been extending their campaigns of attack on Russian soil. Townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
Good morning, one and all. Welcome to Mornings with Mike Winters. I am he. That would be me, Mike Winters. Happy Friday, everybody.
Yes.
We finally made it.
We did it, everybody.
Yeah. Hope all of you are having a wonderful Friday so far.
Indeed.
Boy's almost there, not quite.
It's getting there, man. You're
It's almost normal.
Mike's in his Peter Brady stage.
Yeah. It's like I want to try to do it, but as soon as I drive it, it cracks up.
Mm-hmm.
But if I can just keep even keeled, it stays intact. For the
as long as you just stay right here.
Right here.
Right in that
there,
wheelhouse.
The creamy middle.
Here or here so much.
Right there in the creamy middle.
Mm-hmm.
But happy Friday.
Yes.
Welcome to your Friday. I hope it's a great one.
Indeed. Weekend adjacent.
Not as nice weather-wise.
No, we got our nice
as
day
yesterday.
out yesterday. It was downright warm yesterday. Like, I took the coat off. I was short sleeving it for a while. It's nice.
It was very nice, but I don't think I fully thawed out from before, because I literally, still all day, I wanted to wear a light coat.
Right. Well, I was worried that, honestly, I did nerve damage to my fingers from that 7-degree day we had. Like, I thought I might have had some mild frostbite.
Yeah.
Because for the longest time, my fingers were just numb.
Yeah.
So
might be part of that, just getting older.
Yeah, that could be.
Body's reacting different to colder temps and all that. Yeah, but so to be honest, yes, it's not like yesterday, but I didn't come in like all tundra feeling either, like I did the other days.
Right.
So there's that.
It almost feels like if we'd have come in yesterday and complained about the cold, it would have been doing the day before a disservice.
Yes.
Because that was cold. Yesterday was meh.
Yeah. Today is, I just feel like maybe garden variety January cold.
Yeah, we're not going to top. I think we're topping out like 45.
Yeah,
today.
the high today's, according to this, is 43.
43.
And then tomorrow, 43.
Mm-hmm.
Sunday, 47. And then back up 63 on Monday. So
Nice.
we'll be lingering in the upper 40s.
Semi doable.
I've been trying to look at the winds. 5 to 10 today. 10 to 15 Saturday, 5 to 15 Sunday. So, yeah, when you get up to that 15 in the 40s, that's when it's not fun.
Yeah.
Because wind, 15-mile winds matter so much more in the 40s.
They really
than they do in the 70s. It's just...
The best way I heard it described actually was how Crystal put it about a week ago. She's like, it's like there's a big pile of snow and ice just outside of Roswell, and there's wind just blowing off of it.
Right. Yeah. Cooling the town. But I saw a bad dad joke. It's dairy related.
Okay.
Cow farts. They come from the dairy air.
Oh, yeah. My dad used to say that all the time. Like, yeah, because I actually said to my kids, Roswell smells this way because of all the dairies. It smells like dairy air. Yep.
I never saw that before. I saw it, just made me giggle. And then we were talking about weather, and I was like, oh, yeah, I just saw it like 5 minutes before the show. It made me chuckle. I appreciate a good dad joke. I don't care what anybody says. It's not the quality of the joke.
Mm-hmm.
It's how it's placed and timed.
Right. I'm a sucker for a well-timed pun.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the one I saw yesterday, and I shared it with the group, was just this stall over like rocky area with like high tide, and like waves were shooting up into these two little stalls.
Mm-hmm.
And the quote that I saw was, "Mama said there'd bidets like this because they just look like two bidets."
I just had this song in my head. Mama said that.
There'd bidets like this. There'd bidets like this. Mama said. Mama said. Mama said. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was going through my head when I was making the meme yesterday.
Yes. I feel like there was a French baguette meme joke you could work in there too if you want. Different themes, obviously, but same song. Baguettes like this. It'll be back. I don't know. We could figure that one.
We'll work on it in post.
Yeah.
Come up with something off air.
Just throw it in the idea pile there.
There you go.
Add it to that. One thing we do need to do is thank the fine folks at McDonald's for doing what they do each and every Friday for us, providing us with delicious breakfast treats for us and guests. Although today we're going to replay a lot, so it's just for us today. Unless y'all come down, and if you talk nice, maybe we'll slip you an Egg McMuffin or something.
Why not?
But
I got a biscuit and gravy waiting for me.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's funny. I saw a speaking of McDonald's. By the way, download the app.
Yes.
Utilize it. Your friend, rewards, free points, all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But I saw a story over the week here in the NFL that I guess Jason Kelsey,
Mm-hmm.
the one that's retiring here for the Eagles,
The brother of Travis.
yes, I guess he has a McDonald's that he hits very frequently on his way to his daily routine,
Mm-hmm.
and so I guess he's got an employee there that kind of he deals with all the time. You know, kind of
Right.
a lady that goes to the drive-through and all that. So there was a story that came out that, you know, one day through the drive-through, he got his usual order, which, by the way, is 2 sausage McMuffins and a cup of coffee.
Okay.
But anyway, he gave her a Eagles autographed jersey and all that stuff, and kind of, you know, hooked her up.
Mm-hmm.
And it made national news and all that.
He's like, I'm not going to need this no more.
But right, but you have it. You know what they should have done? She should have gave her. She should have gave him a signed McDonald's uniform.
Right.
Handed it back to him. And said, "Thanks, Jason. Let me return the favor. Here's my uniform."
What we didn't know is they accidentally traded places, and she's got to be on field. At
I bet
8
he
a.m.
would
the
take
next
it
day.
hanging in his wall. To be honest, I just, you know, if it actually happened that way.
Oh, yeah.
But it sparked like this whole debate in the comments of the article I saw. It was everybody kind of arguing about their one seed as the McDonald's sandwich. You know, no, I go with, and I will argue that in that, if you take that comment as a sampling, I'm going to go out on a limb and say most Americans prefer the sausage McMuffin with egg as their favorite.
I would agree with that. It's definitely my god because I like.
I disagree on that, respectfully, of course.
I like the McMuffin. I like the sausage patty, but McMuffin not necessarily my favorite breakfast bread. I think the sausage McGriddle is fun. It's not necessarily a go-to sandwich. It's more.
So you're
a fun
more a
choice.
biscuit guy, aren't you?
I am definitely a biscuit man.
Yeah.
Yes, sausage and cheese biscuit.
Yeah, I respectfully disagree with everybody. I do not. I will agree that y'all eat delicious sandwiches, and I will join you, elbow to elbow, to eat one of those bad boys. But my favorite has always been the original, the Egg McMuffin with Canadian bacon.
Mm-hmm.
That is
the classic.
That is the way the good Lord intended a McDonald's sandwich to be, in my opinion. We can argue all day, and you have merits to debate me. And I just, in my head, just stop at perfection with the Egg McMuffin. That's what I go with.
I've mentioned this before, but Warren Buffett famously loves McDonald's breakfast.
Yeah,
that's like his favorite thing in the world.
Well, he always sets out his $2 and whatever it is for his
wife
go-to.
does. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, first of all, he has he's one of the few people that in the world that has a McDonald's black card, but he doesn't always use it. This is how the story goes.
You're not supposed to. You're supposed to show it.
That's right. It's metal. He chooses among 3 different breakfast options based on how prosperous he's feeling that morning. I heard it was based on how the market or how Berkshire Hathaway or some of his stocks were doing specifically. The options range from 2 sausage patties for $2.61 to a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit for $3.17.
So good days, he's going bacon.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
His high dollar is the bacon and cheese biscuit, though.
Well, sausage is a delightful meat,
mm-hmm.
and it is a great addition to life. But it does not beat bacon. It just does not beat bacon.
I would agree.
Nothing beats bacon.
As long as there's enough bacon.
Right. Yeah. And cooked properly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. 2 caveats for sure. But,
right.
But all things being as optimally, perfectly served to you,
mm-hmm.
bacon's the king. It's just...
When we went to, I've mentioned this too, we went to Romania, one of the things they had set out for us is like this breakfast buffet. One of the things was raw bacon. Or like it's cured, obviously, so it's like smoked and stuff, but it was just out raw. And for the first couple of days, we were like, are we being trolled?
Right.
Like, are they just doing this because they're like, Americans, just throw the raw bacon out and see if we can get them to eat it. I did. It wasn't bad.
Yeah.
It just wasn't bacon,
It's different.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I went over there, all the beans and everything kind of threw me off. I was like, beans? Baked beans everywhere. But anyway.
They enjoy a nice bean breakfast.
They do.
Mm-hmm.
Let me give you the rundown for today's show. We're going to replay interviews, like I said today. My voice is going to, although the interviews, my voice is bad then too. But we're going to play our interview we had with Superintendent for the Roswell Independent School District, Brian Luck, on Wednesday. He joined us to fill us in on what happened last school board meeting and just talking about what's happening around the district. So we'll play that conversation here in just a few. In the 8 o'clock hour, we had yesterday the folks from the 5th Judicial District, DA's office, pop in for a visit. Sorry, I got burps. We had Deputy DA Hunter Spindle and Jeannie Yeager, who does a lot of work with and wears various hats, helps a lot with the victim advocacy and that kind of stuff, the DA dogs. But we had a great conversation with them. We'll play that for you here in the 8 o'clock hour. And then in the 9 o'clock hour, we're going to replay an interview we had with Matt Bristol from Bristol office. He joined us in the 7 o'clock hour yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
And had a great conversation about custody and the hearings and some of the things you can and can expect to happen and all that. So if you're dealing with some of those things in your life, might be some good nuggets of wisdom in that conversation for you. So, plus we'll have all of your normal features, news is of the local, national variety, and Wall Street updates and whatever else we can come up with for today's show. It is 7:18. Let's take a gander at your weather. We already did it. 40, 40, 60, 40, 40, 40, 60.
Good number.
There's your weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Things look fair for the weekend, but we have cool high pressure moving in from the central Rockies. That'll be keeping us in the low to mid 40s for the afternoon high today. Fairly light wind, though, up to 15 miles an hour, and we should get plenty of sunshine. Overnight, a few clouds, our low dipping down to about 20. Another cool day coming up on Saturday, mix of sun and clouds, and low 40s, about 50 on Sunday. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 23 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity's at 57%. Winds are out of the north at 6 miles per hour. 43 today under mostly sunny skies. Winds will be out of the northeast 5 to 10 miles per hour, shifting to the south this afternoon. Partly cloudy, looking at an overnight low of 20 for tonight. South winds at around 10 miles per hour. Saturday, mostly sunny, 43 for a high. South winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. Saturday night, mostly cloudy, overnight low of 27. Sunday, mostly cloudy, 47 for a high there. South winds 5 to 10. And then Monday, when you head back to work and school, mostly sunny, 63 for a high. All right, 7:19, quick break. And then our interview we had on Wednesday with Brian Luck. Don't go away.
Foot and ankle problems are often agonizing, but they don't have to be. At Artesia General Hospital, we're passionate about helping every patient return to optimal mobility with confidence and comfort. Our board-certified podiatrists, Dr. Jennifer Chow and Dr. Michael Krupa, provide a full spectrum of services ranging from routine foot care and pain relief to customized treatment plans and leading-edge surgeries. Visit artesiageneral.com/foot care to request your appointment today.
At Richland Motors, it's never been easier to sell or trade your current car, truck, or SUV for a newer model to hit the road in. Even if you don't purchase from Richland, they want to buy your vehicle for top dollar. But if you do buy from Richland, don't forget, they're the home of the powertrain warranty for life. That's a whole lot of confidence for you. See Richland for details, 2nd and Sycamore, and 1309 Southeast Main.
Most of us want to be perceived as successful. We want the world to know that we're smart, athletic, pretty, or maybe even a little funny. We yearn to be great at something. In our dreams, we're often the world's greatest teacher or quarterback or model or comedian. Unfortunately, if we're honest with ourselves, we'll probably never be the greatest. It's simply unattainable for most of us. We also find that even when we are great at something, it's unsustainable. It's inevitable that someday someone else will be better at it than we are. So what do? We should always strive to be and to do our best, but maybe we need to step back and make sure we're successful in the eyes of Jesus. Jesus defined true success with 2 simple phrases: love God, love everybody else. This defines true success, when we become everything that God wants us to be. After all, God doesn't need another Patrick Mahomes or Blake Shelton. What he does need are representatives sharing his love in this world.
Join us at the Country Club Road Church of Christ for worship at 10 a.m. on Sunday, located on the corner of Country Club and Washington in Roswell.
You are 13.8% more likely to die on your birthday. Think about that the next time you want to celebrate your birthday month. Here's Mike Winters.
Studios. And good morning. It is 22 minutes after 8 o'clock, and joining us in the studio this morning, I feel like a teenage boy, Superintendent for the Roswell Independent School District, Brian Luck, back with us. Good morning, Brian.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Doing good, other than that little part there. So,
I sounded good.
Yeah. How are you doing?
Not bad. Had a good week. Had a better week than you've had. Up and running. We're fighting a lot of what you've got now in our schools. And
well, my wife had it before I did, and she's about 2 or 3 days ahead of me. But she did. Unfortunately, she didn't have this part, the voice and all that. That was reserved for the guy that talks on the radio. But
well, that's how that works.
Yeah. But she's been telling me, it's like, and you're right. She'll come in. She goes, man, half the class was out today because everyone's sick, and it's going around. So,
and that's natural. I mean, it's that time of the year, and it's funny, the adage, the New Mexico weather. If you don't like it, wait 10 minutes and it'll change.
Absolutely.
70 tomorrow, and it'll be back. And it was super cold yesterday morning, and it's almost impossible to not get a little something. And
well, that's why I joked yesterday. I said, because I was talking, I was like, yeah, it's gonna be like 30 today, pushing 70 2 days from now. I said, oh, you know what this means? Y'all are gonna sound like me by the end of the week.
That's correct. That's correct. And I think there's some out there that are waiting for that and hoping for that. But we're just excited that we can carry on like what we want to do. And again, the lessons that we've learned from the past is, if you don't feel good, stay home, and don't bring it if you absolutely have to, or just feel like it's not something else. It's taught us to take care of each other and to take care of ourselves a little bit better.
Absolutely. So, and when your kids are dealing with some of that, it's probably a good idea to, your teacher probably already knows, but just keep them in the loop. Give them a heads up, and and they'll work and accommodate. It's like, hey, if they need to go home, we'll send their work with them. Yep. We can do all that. When you work with the staff and teachers, they will accommodate. It's when you don't send your kid and then don't stay in contact.
Right.
This is where they have a problem. Is if your kid gets sick and they're out a week, I get it. They need to be out a week, but you need to stay in touch. You need to call and say, hey, what are they missing? Because if you just ghost for a week, they're going to look at that as a truancy thing, not we got a sick issue here.
Well, and the door was opened with some of our virtual learning that we've done. So a lot. The majority of our secondary teachers from the mid schools up have an account where the kids can log in, and the kids know it, and the teachers know it. It's the same platform that we'll use for some of those kids whenever we do a remote day due to the weather. It really did open a lot of doors. There's lots of bad that went with it. I'm not even going to go back to that.
Sure.
But there was some good things that came out of that, and dealing with this time of year. And again, this is New Mexico, and we do live in a desert, and it's going to be cold. And every now and then, things will fall from the sky that look like water, and it will be all right.
Well, we don't get a little bit of nothing. It's usually it's nothing or the extreme of whatever that is. You know what I mean? We don't get an all day rain day. We get thunderstorms with wind and damaging hail and wind, all that.
Right.
Where everyone else say, "Oh, it's going to rain today." It's not, So everything's either it's a million miles an hour or deader than a doornail. That's how this area is.
Cold.
Yeah,
you don't get days that are chilly. You get, oh my gosh, that was yesterday,
it's
and
frigid or hot.
And it was interesting. So I had a little bit of questions. I was like, man, it was sure cold. What about a delay? What about this? And I kind of laughed. I said, well, at 10 o'clock yesterday morning, it was 14 where I was here in town. And I was like, I don't know that was
2 hours wouldn't have made much difference.
I don't know that was much of a jump, but we monitored it. And obviously, our bus company was huge with that. And
I imagine that was probably your bigger factor. Is
they had prepped.
And the bus crank up and everything.
So about 5:30, I start kind of reaching out, and the bus contractors had got everything up and running and nice and warm. So when the kids got there, got everybody to school where the rooms were nice and warm and toasty. Didn't, knock on wood, we didn't hear of any major incidents, no water breakage, no heaters that didn't work, that kind of a deal.
Usually there's an announcement or something. Sure. Certain schools having a water issue. None of that this week.
No, and hats off to, to the people that take care of that, whether that be our district employees or the city workers that keep us up and running.
What we saw was everyone doing their job, everyone basically system working as advertised. We just saw it happen.
You betcha.
The way it's supposed to. And kids, that's a good thing. This is exactly how it should happen.
And then your job, when that does happen and everybody's done their part, is to go to school.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. And that's going to be my mission from here on out, is that we had it taken, and I don't ever want to, if we have to do that for safety reasons, that's one thing, but we can go. I was at a building yesterday morning, and I was really happy to see that the kids, as they were getting out of their cars, they had jackets. That was kind of my deal. I was standing out there, and I was bundled up pretty good, and some of them weren't very heavy jackets, but they had a coat, and I was like, man, that's such a good start. And kids jumped out of cars and had a big old smile on their face, and they just went and did their thing. So we are always watching that. It is still January, and those things could happen. And
I would even argue too. We talked about like the maintenance side.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't have any burst pipes and any of that stuff. I could also attribute that to the last 20 years of upgrading and remodeling and renovating.
Yes,
because quite frankly, if this would happen 20 years ago, the temperatures, we would not be having the same conversation. Those buildings were older, less reliable buildings.
Right.
And now science, technology, they can insulate pipes a little better. Things are done a little stuff. Newer construction, these are going to handle the elements a little bit better than those other buildings sometimes. So we're actually seeing really the fruit of 20 years of smart thinking to last week's smart planning.
You bet.
All being in action here.
Well, until we jinxed it all right here by talking about it today. But no, it's very nice. And again, I've got a really good team that I work with. And I shot out a text to the transportation and then to my head of my maintenance department. And, it was pretty standard, business as usual. And I was like, well, let's go. So, but we're watching for that. And I get when and if we get to a spot, again, we won't shift into a school closure. We'll shift into a remote learning day. And it was interesting. I talked to a couple of teachers yesterday that were, talking to their kids, and that came up, well, why didn't they close school today? Because it was so cold, or why didn't we do this? And, the one that I was talking to, her comment was, well, I took that opportunity to say, well, if we had have done it, this is what would have been your expectations. And this is where you're going to go find your assignment. And they did that. It was a high school, and they did that with all of their classes. And I was like, man, that's awesome. Thank you for prepping those kids and getting them ready. And
well, this is why teachers are amazing.
They are.
Because teachers, use every moment as an educational moment. That's what teachers do.
That's right.
So.
there are no bad moments, just good opportunities to teach. So
Absolutely.
You're exactly right. You want to talk about the board meeting?
Let's get some highlights from the meeting.
Awesome. So last night was our first board meeting for the new year, our January meeting. So we swore in one returning member, Miss Hilda Sanchez, and then we actually swore in a brand new member, Mr. Jared Ashby. And that was at our 5:30 special meeting. And then at our 6 o'clock regular scheduled meeting, the first item on the agenda after Pledge of Allegiance was the election of officers. So board voted, and Mr. Jack Cheney is the new president of the school board.
Okay. Congratulations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. With Mrs. Hilda Sanchez as your vice president.
Okay.
Returning back to that position.
Well, she's got a lot of experience under that role.
She sure does.
That would be greatly appreciated.
Mr. Ryan French is your secretary. So congratulations and thank you, number one, to all 5 of our individuals, Mr. James Edwards, Hilda Sanchez, Ryan French, Jack Cheney, and Mr. Jared Ashby. I mean, thank you to them for even pitching their name in to do this. It's it's just not a thankful job at all.
It's a chair that's got a big lightning stick rod sitting on top of it.
It does.
And it's going to get hit about 1,000 times. And they willingly sit in those chairs and do the business of running a school district.
Yes, sir. And I have been very blessed with the boards, plural. Kind of nice to be able to say that now, that I've had an opportunity to work with and not work for. And I mean it just the way I said it.
Sure.
It's a very nice relationship that we have. And I think that they do truly have the kids' interest at heart, and that's very nice because a lot of boards aren't like that.
Yeah, and you mentioned your experience. You led the board and things, and for a lot of people may or may not realize, because you've been with this district as a principal and everything else, you've seen a lot of boards through various eyes, through a superintendent's eyes, through a principal's eyes, through a school teacher's eye. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so you get to see it from a lot of perspectives. So what you're seeing and what you're saying now kind of carries to me a little bit more weight because of just your experience of dealing with boards over the years and things like that.
Well, I will say this, and Roswell has a very rich tradition of good people that have stepped forward and have done work. I mean, I can think of people and going to meetings because you used to have to go to them. You couldn't watch them, but going to meetings and having interactions with them throughout the year, different times throughout the community. Roswell's just such a neat place. I mean, the people that get on there and they may not stay just for whatever reason, but they're willing to serve and they're willing to get out there and kind of expose whatever it is that they need to get done. And
absolutely,
it's just a really neat community that's willing to do that because not all of them are like that. I mean, some you get a group and it never gets a chance to have other people be a part of it.
Wow. How many of us have gone on social media and watched video clips from school board meetings all over the country, and you see some weird stuff going on? We don't have those issues because we have some good leadership in the room.
We do.
And I do want to take this moment one more time to thank Hope Morales, the former president of the school board who just stepped down here this last cycle. We thank her for her service, and she did an amazing job as a board member and a board president, and we're fortunately for us, she's not done serving. She's just wearing a different hat.
That's
now.
Correct. That is correct.
Yeah.
So, and that was actually my first meeting without her running it. So, we've got good things in store for us. We're in a good spot. We've got good leadership. I think they have a good vision. We continually work to try to make sure that we're doing the will of the people here in Roswell. So, got that done first thing. Had a really neat recognition for a young lady from Roswell High School named Marlene Rodriguez, who's been accepted to Columbia University.
Nice.
And we tried to get her to talk a little bit more, but a neat opportunity for her back east at Ivy League College. Super excited.
What is she studying?
I didn't say.
Okay.
And if she did, I didn't pick it up. It was, like I said, I think it was all we could do to get her to come forward and take that recognition because it was pretty neat for her.
Good, awesome. I love that. It's great to see. I hope she comes back, when she visits and got her big degree and and she'll, maybe at that point she'll be willing to share where
That'd be great.
her dreams take her.
That'd be great. Had an opportunity. So this was a little bit of a holdover from last meeting. Our four spotlight schools, to be a spotlight school, basically it is you're performing above state expectations. So we're not back to letter grades and to highly this or that. They've changed the name, they've changed the wording on it, and so if
This is like old school report cards where it was satisfactory,
yes,
exceptional, does not meet whatever the lingo was.
I guess in layman's terms, if you're one of these four schools, you're doing something pretty good.
Gotcha.
You're not just doing good; you're doing really good.
You're going above and beyond what people are expecting you to be able to do.
So that would be Valley View Elementary, Military Heights Elementary, El Cap Elementary, and Del Norte Elementary. I will say this:
Congratulations, 4 schools in the district.
Yes,
that are exceeding it. That's good numbers.
What was neat? I want to say Nancy Lopez was like 2 points away.
And so we got a bunch underneath that are.
So we've got a couple that
give them
right
a year.
there.
They're going to be on that list too. Yeah, love that.
Yes,
love that.
And I mean that a tribute to the work that everybody's doing. You know, we've got some really cool things that are going on, and the teachers have pushed to get to this. So this is not by accident.
They didn't stumble upon this. This is a goal. They're busting their tails and they're meeting and exceeding those goals that are set.
Oh, by far. Shift over into our information items. I'm get back to my agenda here. My apologies. Had an opportunity to update on our strategic plan. So at our last meeting, we were asked to talk about how we're working with kids in distinction. So the PED has, in my opinion, has sort of shifted backwards to where we're using subpopulations. And so the board had asked that, okay, specifically, how do you address to help this kiddo right here in this subpopulation, or this one, or this one, or this one? So took an opportunity to go through and talk about that a little bit. Then had an opportunity to discuss some construction updates. So went into Nancy Lopez, specifically related to Mesa Middle School and to Nancy Lopez. So hats off to Wade Construction. They're our general contractor over there at Mesa. If you have not been by Mesa Middle School, part of it is no longer there, and the part that is still there, I don't know that you're going to recognize. So they have really done the lion's share of the demo. I mean, they've got the old part of the building down that we needed to get down.
A lot of heavy lifting done.
Oh my goodness. It is neat. It is neat to see. I had an opportunity to get into what I'm going to say would be the new part of the construction that hasn't been finished up yet, which is the admin offices and some of the the support area of the school, and got a chance to just kind of peek in and look at what was going on there. It's going to be gorgeous. We had taken over possession of the, I would say, the 2-story component of the school in the gym, the new gymnasium, and that was, last year. Actually got to do that. I think it was spring break. And so when the kids came back, they moved into that. We're looking at an April-ish, transition into the...
See how the weather and everything else cooperates, of course, when it comes to construction.
And we've done really... I think we've done pretty good with that. I mean, there have been some hiccups and there have been some supply issues, but...
Weather overall has been pretty cooperative.
Right.
For these days like yesterday, but we haven't had major windstorms, rainstorms that have caused damage to work already done and things like that.
No, and in the when we had the crew that would be what I would say the outside, for lack of a better word, when they were having to do some of the primary construction on the building, you're right. We were pretty blessed about that time. We had a week or so there that it got a little wet, a little soggy, and they weren't able to do things. But all in all, the project has been fairly close to on schedule. Really excited getting that one done. So turn our attention now to Nancy Lopez. And Jeremy Sanchez, my project manager, was giving the update last night and had a 8.5 by 11 manila folder in his hand, and that happened to be the deed to the land that we just swapped. And he had just got that yesterday, so we can go down to the county, we can get everything filed. We are good to go, getting ready to start construction on brand new Nancy Lopez.
Well, that's a lot of people wait a long time for that.
Golly.
Because finally, it is so nice to see it. We'll be excited to see the shovels come out and do the groundbreaking, all the fun stuff.
We'll do all of the above, and what a neat opportunity for that area.
Absolutely.
And I say that area, I mean, when we redid Del Norte, that area got a brand new school. When we redid El Capitan, that area got a brand new school. So it's really good.
In the Nancy Lopez situation, yeah, it's taken a lot longer than people probably wanted, but there was a lot of angles on that one with the property swaps, what do you want to do with it? Not upsetting the apple cart of the neighborhood already. There was a lot of variables that had to be checked before we could break ground and create the new Nancy Lopez Elementary here. So it just took several years of making sure all those dots connected and making sure we're not upsetting the neighborhood. And at the same time, we're trying to improve the neighborhood.
Right.
And now they got all that worked out. It just took a while because it was a lot of different angles on this particular one. It bumped up against a weird piece of property and a lot of logistics there. And it just took a while to work that out. Now that that's happened, now it's just a matter of when can we get this sucker built,
And I can't even let you say all of that without again coming back to there was a laundry list of people that helped push that one across the goal line, with our local state representatives, our senators, our city government. I mean, thank you. And I know sound like I'm pandering, and I'm just grateful.
Yeah.
That when it's all said and done, we're going to be able to build a building and literally hand them new keys. And then maintenance will take the material, the supplies, et cetera, from Nancy Lopez and put it into brand new Nancy Lopez. And they're going to be able to not miss a beat. When you're talking about a remodel, again, I'm going to come back to saying, okay, you're going to remodel your house, but you're going to still need to use the kitchen, and every one of your bathrooms still has to be usable. But you also still have to be able to sleep in your bed, in your bedroom. That's what it's like when you remodel a school.
Hey, kids, go watch the movie The Money Pit with a very young Tom Hanks and a Shelley Long. There you go. That'll give you a good indicator.
That's about the whole of it. So thank you to our voters. We were given the opportunity to not have to do that. And you're not looking at having to mess with parking or anything. I mean, that school will still stay intact, and it'll still be able to do business as usual. And like I just mentioned a minute ago, they're already doing good things. You don't want to disrupt that as much as possible.
Exactly.
So really looking forward to that. Then we will shift attention. We have a lot of work going on behind the scenes already with Mountain View. So excited with that, and then Washington Avenue. So really excited.
This is all good stuff.
Oh, it's great
stuff. This is the labor of what the job is, because quite frankly, when they get to this list, then it's time to start back over. And the stuff they remodeled earlier, it's time for that to do its upkeep and updating or whatever it needs to be done there.
Yes, sir.
So it's an endless job. It really is.
Job security.
Exactly. Real quick, while we're talking construction updates, how about the admin building? Any updates on that construction or renovation?
We're still shooting for a July remove back into the what I would say would be the old part of the admin building. Have not been in there yet. I'm kind of I'm holding off on that one because I really want to be amazed. The contractor that's over there, Holloway Construction's over there. We've got multiple sets of subcontractors in there. I know that they have set the piping in the parking lot for the new chiller that's going to go in there. I know I actually walked out and tried to help the electricians whenever they were doing the electrical work, and they basically said that I needed to leave. But it's just a neat process, and the funny thing is they were pulling out the old stuff. And you look at that and you're just like, okay, number one, that's phenomenal. The quality of the craftsmanship and the material that it's held up that long. But then you see some of the size of the new wires that they're bringing in, and you're just like, holy cow, how did we do that the way that was? And the answer is we just did. But extremely excited about that. What the hope is that once we get that done, that we could maybe let, I don't want to say an open house, but for lack of a better word,
sure,
an open house,
a little tour and everything.
Let people see, because I mean that will open up the ability to use Pueblo Auditorium.
Yeah,
to be able to go and turn a switch and have it heated and cooled. without having to take multiple sets of days to do both.
What a concept, huh?
Well, like yesterday, for instance, the way the temperature was, and I'm in my 50s, early 50s, and I can remember going into the Yucca Center and the radiator heaters over in the corner and the popping and the cracking and the noise that it made. And it was, when it worked well, it was nice. But you can't just go turn that on
right
away.
It needs a minute.
It needs a second.
It's
and,
like that. They're like old people. You need a minute to get us going.
I'm not going to touch that comment. I'm not touching that. Move into some really neat action items. Excuse me. Our Mesa Middle School, the Mesa Middle School band director was there last night. He had 2 items up on the agenda. The band and the orchestra are going to go to Amarillo in April. And
by morning? Sorry, it was a bad joke. I was going to say by morning.
Well, and they can get there however they get there, I guess.
Go Amarillo.
I know.
I get a bad joke. Sorry.
I'll give you credit on that one. I'll give you credit.
Dad joke number 7.
You got me on that one. No, but they, excuse me, as a reminder, if you leave the state of New Mexico, we have to have board approval. So even if it's, I could travel all the way to Farmington for a school trip approval, but if you cross the line, planes, ironically, we do get board approval. So they came in last night, talked about their trip, and board granted approval. They also received Peter R. Marsh $1,000 donation to the band program. So they were super excited about that. Super excited. Had a representative from the Roswell High School FFA who was going to take about 6 students to El Paso for a competition in welding. And he got to talk a little bit about the different types of welding that they'll be doing. And this, I think it's the 2nd or 3rd year that they've done this.
Okay.
How can we help? How could we get, what do we need to do to help you out
Absolutely.
as far as this goes?
And I love that because things like that, 'cause let's face it, welders make good money, but there's never enough welders. Like, it's an industry where you're trying to get into that you can write your own ticket. And so I think projects like this enhance that. So, there's going to be a section of youth now. They're going to say, I never would have looked at welding, but now I see a competitive angle.
Sure.
That's fun for me. That might be a career,
Well, and I mean, it's not unheard of to think that you won't have industry reps or you won't have people that are in the business that are there that'll be looking for talent.
Absolutely.
Your companies, your oil companies, your industries, excited. And a neat thing that's starting to become just what we do instead of, well, that was neat once. And again, like you said, our hope is that grows some legs and that can get a little bigger. So looking to acknowledge their accomplishments hopefully when they get back.
Yeah, absolutely. Foster and support that.
You bet.
And the same thing with the band and the choir when they go make these trips and things. The boosters and the bands, they bust their butt, raise fundraising and doing things to help cover costs to do trips like this.
Right.
So support them. The school board helps as much as they can, but there's only so much money and a lot of programs to distribute it to.
Right.
And so really, when it comes to these kind of trips and things, it's really the boosters and the students themselves that are doing the legwork, the grunt work to raise funds or do whatever they got to do these extracurricular activities in their world. So please support them. Please, when when they're out doing their car washes or they're doing their band walks and things like that, support them. Come out and rally and enjoy. They're entertaining. They come out. They usually, they work for their supper. They usually do a show while they're doing they're busting their reward these kids for their hard work. Show them that hard work does pay off. And when you guys come out and support the car wash and all that, that's what you're cementing that for these kids.
Yeah. Well, and the it's funny because I have 2 kids that are involved in different activities, and it's hard because you do seek sponsorships and you seek donations and you seek help. I was having a conversation with someone, not a bad conversation, but I reminded them. I said, would we rather no one ever approaches you because no one's doing anything? I said it. Granted, it would be nice if we didn't need to do some of the things that we're doing. Sure. However, if we were doing nothing because kids were doing nothing and people weren't doing anything, that's not a good thing either.
Well, and I would even make an argument that the school board shouldn't fund everything 100%. I think when it comes to some of these activities, I think you need to put a sense of ownership on the people that want to do it. And I think by making them earn it a little bit gives it a greater appreciation. I think it's part of the learning process for these kids too.
A little bit of a dog in a fight.
Yeah, exactly. So, sure, I'm sure the school board would love to help more, but I don't think they should. Like, not help more, but just pay for it outright. That's what I don't think, because I think you need to, they're at an age where they got to learn and cement that if you want something, you've got to earn it. You've got to work for it. And this is the kind of stuff that cements that stuff.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Segway, early college, high school robotics team. So they had actually 3 different trips on the agenda, and it's their qualifying trips. So they're going to go to Amarillo in March, then they're looking to go to Fort Worth, and then if they qualify at that point, on into Houston.
Nice.
So some neat conversations around their crew, and then I can guarantee after they go to their deal, they'll bring back their toys, and that's always a fun.
We can get them on the radio here, and
that is always a fun board meeting whenever they come back with their toys.
Maybe we get them to play with our toys on the radio.
Yes,
put in the good work.
Had 4 of our community schools, El Capitan Elementary, Mesa Middle School, Sierra Middle School, and University High School, receive $1,000 grants apiece. And then just kind of conducted some regular business after that. So all in all, I mean, we had a pretty normal January board meeting. A couple of the things that I'd like to highlight from out of the superintendent's report, over Christmas on the 22nd, our cafeteria staff gave out over 600 boxes of food. And that by itself, you're just like, wow, that's a lot of food. Okay. When you hear that it's in the, like 6,000 breakfast meals in those boxes and 6,000 lunches in those boxes, what a neat opportunity that we had to help out the kids in our community and the families in our community. So hats off to them as well. Again, our cafeteria staff will be receiving the Golden Chili Award. I think it's on the 25th at the Rotunda at the Roundhouse. New Mexico grown products. We're sold on that. We'll use New Mexico industry as much as possible.
It's amazing. Miss Meeks, who's the Roswell food service director here, and Miss Montgomery in Dexter. I've had them on the radio multiple times talking about what they do, and when they do these kind of feeding the community type projects and events. It is so amazing that them and their staffs are really, and I know we talk about unsung heroes and all that, but the food service industry folks in every school district in this nation are amazing heroes. And, you and I growing up, we had the Adam Sandler lunch lady, mindset and all of that. And it is so not like that anymore, or that mindset. These people are really taking whatever they can and feeding thousands of people every day. And they do it under strict criteria and guidelines. And some of it you might even argue, like, what are you thinking? Because they deal with stuff that doesn't even make sense. Right. But they got to do what they got to do, and they do it. And finding initiatives to work local, grown produce and locally sourced foods, these and still feed 6,000 people and not miss a step. They're finding that way to, okay, how do we get the prepackaged stuff in that we need because we got 6,000 of these to make? Right. But at the same time, incorporating our local green chili, our local fruits and vegetables, our local dairy, our local meats.
Well, and where we're at right now, I mean, obviously the timing of the year, there are no fresh fruits and vegetables grown locally right now. So you shift, you punt to the next stage, and you work from there. Our meat that we're getting right now is local, and there has been a definite difference from the lack of calls that I'm getting about the way the food tastes. And I've had multiple people say, you know what, that those steak fingers are not bad, and I was like, that's because it's legit. and it's produced here. And
I just had an idea.
Oh boy,
a little side money. Let's couple the schools, the lunch lady cafe, and the public can come in at lunch. We'll charge them $10 or whatever, and
Well, actually, I believe you're free to go eat with your kiddos.
I'm just saying, let's turn a profit here and make it into a little restaurant in each of these restaurants.
I believe you're free to go eat with your kiddos.
Just saying, let's make some money. Let's do this.
Well, I do know this. I know that our food service department as a whole is able to do more with less than anybody I've ever seen.
They're amazing.
They stand outside when it's 143 in the middle of the summer, and hand out the hot dogs at the summer lunch programs. They're there. They were there yesterday morning when it was 4 degrees, and they're getting out of their cars and they're walking into those buildings, and they're doing the job so that our kids have plenty to eat, and going to get a little recognition. Excited about that. Wish we could give more, but for sure, if we're going to win an award, I really appreciate that. That's one of them.
Absolutely, yeah. Thank our service folks.
Sure.
In the food, because to all of them, these are the folks that without them, you don't realize how bad off we'd have it.
Oh yeah.
They really are the difference between success and failure in the Roswell Independent School District.
Well, and they make you will eat, and that's not something, if you have extra company show up, you can send somebody to the store, or you can do this. I mean, that's awful tough whenever you're planning out and the meals that you need to cook for this week for 10,000 kids don't exist. And they have always managed to make it happen, and we've never missed a dinner bill.
Well, as young parents that may have 2-3 kids, elementary school age, y'all know the struggles of just feeding those 2 kids lunch in your house. Take that times 10,000. That's what they do.
Nice round number. Yeah. Well, and that's when we're a little shy of 10, but if for the sake of thinking about it, it's 10.
Yeah. That's what they deal with on a given day. So,
and they cook 2 meals a day.
Exactly, and they do it when there's not even school. It's like when school's out, something like the Christmas, summer, the holiday breaks, things like that. They don't get the break. They're cooking.
That's right.
Because guess what? Food doesn't take a break. We got to eat, whether it's Christmas or not. So they do it. So, is there anything we didn't get a chance to talk about, Brian?
I don't think so. I know we scheduled a board retreat, which is it's like a work session for the board coming up in February. I believe that'll be late February. Our next meeting, we're back to Mondays. I want to say February 12th should be the second Monday of the month. A lot going on. We've got both of our high schools that are fixing to shift into district. Had a big Roswell Goddard game last night, right in the middle of the board meeting. That's good planning on my part. But now I think they both have a couple, 2 or 3 games. I know our wrestlers are really pushing forward, getting ready for district. Got a little powerlifting season fixing to happen.
Yeah.
Got spring sports fixing to kick off. End of the year activities. I mean, we're going to be talking about graduation before it's over, and I am not looking forward to that because I got one graduating. So
you do.
I'm not looking forward to that.
It's a bittersweet year for you on this one.
It is.
So, but yeah, you're right. I'm like, you said it. I'm like, spring. Like, man, we're gonna be talking about softball in like 2 weeks. Jeez.
Yes, sir.
Golly, it's going by quick. So.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. There's not another way to put it, but yes, it goes quick.
But Brian, thank you as always for visiting. Thank you for all the work that you guys do and your staff and everybody. And we look forward to next month talking about Bus Level. We'll be probably getting towards middle to wrapping up legislative session. So there's probably a few things that'll come out of Santa Fe that'll be on our radar next month too.
Actually, headed up there tomorrow.
Yeah.
My hope would be that we come back with lots of great things.
Yeah.
And I will say this: if I have just 10 seconds for a plug, pray for our legislators. Congratulations and thank you to them for taking a month out of their families to go and do that job for us here, because that's it's not what it sounds like it's cracked up to be.
It isn't, and then a 30-day, it's fast and furious. They'll hit the ground running, and they won't sleep until 30 days from now. So it's really pretty.
So thank you to them.
Absolutely, and keep writing them letters. Keep showing your support. Don't forget to tell them you're in their district.
Right.
They will put so much more weight on your letter when you tell our senators and our representatives that you're a member of their district. And because that's who they represent, that's who they care about. So just a tip there. But
there you go.
Thank you, Brian, as always. We'll see you next time.
Yes, sir.
All right, it is closing in on 9 o'clock. Time for some town hall news, and we'll be back on the other side of news. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND, Roswell, New Mexico.
Roswell.
This hour from townhall.com. I'm Rich Thomason. Another stopgap spending bill has cleared Congress, heading to President Biden for his signature. It averts a looming partial government shutdown. Congressman Chip Roy does not like it. The Texas Republican says the well-being of the republic is threatened when we spend money that we don't have. Following a series of highly publicized stunts, Hunter Biden finally agrees to a closed-door deposition before 2 House committees. As part of the impeachment inquiry targeting President Biden, the deposition is set for February 28th. More severe weather hammering parts of the country today from the Midwest to the Northeast. A couple of big storms are on the move, bringing snow across a vast area, including to some of the biggest cities of the East Coast.
We're looking at the potential there for a few inches of snow stretching from the Washington, D.C. metro, Baltimore, Philadelphia, and up towards the New York City metro, where there could be as much as 1 to locally 3 inches of snow.
Zach Taylor at the National Weather Service. More than 36 people have died as a result of severe weather this week. The Pacific Northwest, the Plains, and the Midwest have also seen their share of stormy weather in recent days. It's the 51st annual March for Life going on today in Washington, D.C. The American Life League's Hugh Brown says the pro-life struggle goes on because abortion is not going away.
I don't think there's a law we can pass. I don't think there's a president, there's a judge we can nominate and get placed. It's going to end abortion because abortion is entrenched in the minds and the hearts of the people of this country.
Today's is the second March for Life since the repeal of Roe versus Wade. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 111 points, the Nasdaq ahead 79, and the S&P trading 18 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Here's an important message from the Diabetes Solution Center. Do you like pricking your fingers to test your blood sugar levels? No one does, but it's important to maintain your health. And now, by wearing a small remote device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you don't need to prick your fingers anymore. It's easy to use and helps you make more accurate diabetes treatment decisions. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now. And if you have Medicare or most major insurance coverage, you may be able to get a new CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost. Shipping is free, and we'll even bill your insurance company for you. If you are testing your blood sugar 3 or more times daily, injecting insulin, or using an insulin pump, call the Diabetes Solution Center right now to learn how to end the painful finger sticks and get your own continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Port-au-Prince residents erecting barricades amid armed raids by gang members in the Haitian capital.
The pop of automatic weapons had echoed throughout the Salino district on Thursday as thick columns of black smoke rose above the neighborhood, where frantic residents kept calling radio stations asking for help. René Auguste, a resident who's protesting, calls for the entire country to rise up to make Prime Minister Ariel Henry respond. He says we can no longer resist insecurity by gang. The attack could mark a turning point for the gangs. If Salino falls, gangs would have easy access to other neighborhoods that have so far remained peaceful and largely safe. I'm Charles de Ledesma.
North Korea claims to have tested an underwater nuclear attack drone in response to a combined naval exercise between South Korea, the United States, and Japan this week, as it continues to blame its rivals for raising tension in the region. Townhall.com. Stretching for hundreds of miles off the East Coast, scientists have mapped a massive deep ocean coral reef.
Researchers have known since the 1960s that some coral were present off the Atlantic coast, but the reef's size remained a mystery until new technology made it possible to map the ocean floor in 3D. The reef extends for about 310 miles from Florida to South Carolina. The total area is nearly 3 times the size of Yellowstone National Park. Scientists say it's possible that larger deep-sea reefs will be discovered since only about 75% of the world's ocean floor has been mapped in high resolution. Keith Peters reporting.
Turns out the small plane that crashed into the ocean off California last weekend was built piece by piece over nearly a decade. One of tens of thousands of home-built aircraft was part of a high-flying hobby. It's been taking off all across the country in recent years. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel wishing, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican world radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 8 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 2 of Mornings. Mike Winters, right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to it. Hope your Friday is going amazingly well. A little chillier than yesterday, but dare I say, not as chilly as it was early in the week. So, and the fact that it is Friday adds to the awesomeness of the day. So you're like, yeah, it was a little colder than it was, but it's Friday. I've got free time ahead.
That's right. It's like a special flavor.
Yes. So enjoy.
And I just did a story about how sleeping in an extra hour on the weekends can actually save your life.
Good.
Yep.
Take 2 then.
Help fight the risk of heart disease, heart attack, strokes, things like that. So
nice.
Sleep in a little bit this weekend, kids.
Need all the help I can get there. So.
Your morning radio show said to.
Yes, I'm going to sleep in tomorrow. But don't send me weird texts or phone calls at 7 a.m. tomorrow. So.
The problem is, and this is something I've actually had a lot of parents tell me, is specifically on Saturday morning, we wake up extra early just to have a little me time.
Right.
If you can get up before the kids get up and the day has to start, you can have yourself a little you time.
Yes, you know how like people like, I'm a morning person or I'm a night owl or whatever. Everyone kind of has their preferences.
Yep.
I think I would argue all of us are, I think we're all morning people if we don't have to jump out of bed to do something right away. Morning people. Like, I love the morning when I got to get up and then, you're like, what do you got to do the first hour? I don't know. Read the paper, sit here, watch the morning go by, get a cup of Joe, whatever. That's what people want. You want to casually get out of bed and kind of roll and kind of ease into your day.
Takes
and
time.
Then you're like, I'm a morning person. Once I got my, my coffee or whatever it is to get me going, you're good. But none of us really do that. I mean, I envy the people. My wife's a little bit like this, actually. I'm not one of these people.
Okay.
That wakes up hours before you're supposed to be at work and, just casually sits and watch TV and just kind of.
That's absolutely me.
Is it?
Oh, well, 100%. most mornings I try to be up by about like between 4:30 and like 5 o'clock.
Oh, not me.
Just to give myself a little extra time, you know?
My whole life, I roll out of bed, roll into the shower, or roll into the bathroom for ablution time, and then it's off to what I got to go do.
Mm-hmm.
I never shower, cleaned up, shaved.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I've had those moments where it's like, I push it a little bit. It's like, I don't feel like getting up and doing the routine this morning, so I'm gonna use my me time to stare at the backside of my eyelids a little more.
No, my whole life's been that. Okay, I got to be here at 7. I can do this. It's going to take 10 minutes. I can get up at 6:15.
Nice.
Get out, go to the bathroom, get cleaned up, be on the road by 6:45.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's my mindset.
Sure. If I wake up before my alarm specifically, or if I wake up in the right like realm of a sleep cycle, I don't like to push that.
Yeah.
So like if I wake up at like, let's say I set my alarm for 5:25 in the morning. If I wake up at like 5:15, I know I'm not going to get a full sleep cycle in. I'm just up because I don't want to wake up cranky. If I go down and then halfway through, you're woken up, and you're in the middle of some REM sleep or something. That's bad. That's actually it sets off your day in a negative place.
Yeah, well, maybe that's my problem. I wake up cranky every day.
There are apps out there that will tell you what time to go to sleep and wake up to specifically have a number of sleep cycles.
Yeah, this is probably where my age and where I'm at in life. I wasn't grown up or raised in a world where I've got reminders and things to tell me to do everything all the time. And
right.
And I'm not saying it's a bad thing because some people need that in their lives, but I don't know. I don't look at my life as like, all right. And I'm a regimented dude in my life, but I don't want someone to regiment me, or I don't want something to regiment me.
Right.
Either. You know what I mean? It's like,
that makes sense.
And bedtimes, I'm like that. It's like, during the week, between 9 and 10 is when I fall, go to bed. Usually it's closer to 10, but 9 o'clock starts the process of me going to bed.
Sure.
And but during the week or Fridays and Saturdays, it literally just depends on what's on TV, what I'm doing at that particular. Yeah, I'm into what I'm doing. I'm going to stay up later, or I ain't crap on. I'm tired. Let's go to bed. That's it. I'm not dictated by sleep cycle must begin at 10:02.
Right. Yeah.
And so I applaud people that can do that. I'm not one of those people.
And I've never been one to really knock it out of the park for that either.
Yeah.
Usually it's, I'm starting to drift off on the couch. Maybe I should go to bed.
Right. Yeah, or I'll drift off on the couch and wake up 3 hours later. I should go to bed. I do that move too, but not so much in my married days, but my single days. Oh, that was a story of my life.
At that point, though, you just kick the feet up on the couch and just finish the night out on the couch. I mean, if it was comfortable enough for me to fall asleep here to begin with.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Unless my back.
That's kind of the beauty of the single life is I don't have to go to bed to go to bed.
Well, what would normally happen, I wake up and there's a crick in my neck or something. I'm going to bed. But yeah. Couple things real quick. I do want to thank the fine folks at McDonald's.
Yes.
Each and every Friday, they provide our show with delicious breakfast treats. We invite you to make McDonald's a part of your morning commute. Use that app. You can download the app for free. Utilize it for free. Start earning rewards for free food the very first time you place an order through that bad boy. You can have it go through the drive-thru. You slip them a 4-digit code. They slip you your food. You're in and out before you can even realize you went in. And then, or if you're like, no, I wanted to sit down and dine in, kids with me while I'm playing the playland for a little bit, whatever, they got you. Even if you're like, I ain't got time for that nonsense, they'll deliver it to you. They'll be, I ain't got time to go get it. I ain't got time for that. No worries. Do the app. It'll show up wherever you're at.
It makes me laugh so much when I walk in and there's a long line, or if you pull into the parking lot, there's a huge line of cars. You just walk up and be like, app order for Sean. Thank you.
Yep.
And you're, off as you go.
Trust me, I'm a guy that's a fan of old school in many aspects of my life. The app is not one of them. That is one that I'm like, this was an improvement to life.
Sure was.
And I enjoy this one. So I give it a dance. Give it a try if you've never done it before.
Here's the thing. Nobody wants to be known as a line cutter.
Yeah.
But if you can successfully pull off cutting in line, It feels so good. Think back to when we had to stand in line outside of Walmart to get our groceries. If you could successfully cut that line, what a good feeling. I mean, yeah, the people behind you are upset, but what a good feeling that is. Yeah. You can get that every time with the McDonald's app.
It's like nowadays when you go to Disney World. Mm-hmm. You know, now they got the fast passes and all that, and show up here, and then you've been waiting in line for a ride for 2 hours, and you see that group that just rolls up and gets on the ride, and you're like a little. Now you can live that experience the other way every day by just using the McDonald's.
You can be VIP. You don't just have to be P.
That's right. Oh, big thing in McDonald's. Download that app. You really can save some money and get some great deals and save a lot of time and energy and convenience. Mm-hmm. Other thing I do want to mention is congratulations to Art Bolaños. Yesterday, they announced that he was named head coach of the Goddard Rocket football team. Mm-hmm. Of course, he was defensive coordinator there at Roswell High, a long-time assistant head coach there with Coach Lynn. And so congratulations to him. Goddard got a good coach.
Mm-hmm. Should make for a very interesting season moving forward.
It's gonna continue the tradition of some of the best football in the state will be right here in Roswell, New Mexico. Mm-hmm. So, you're right. I'm looking excited. Now we got not only Roswell and Goddard, but both teams are a lot of excitement for both teams for this next season. And I know it's only January, but August will be here before you know it. So, but congratulations to those guys, to Art Bolaños. And I'm sure Roswell, very happy for him, but they got big shoes to fill over at Roswell High now because of that. So, but it's congratulations. I think it's a good thing for the city
I agree.
To see Art taking over head coach there at Goddard High. So good thing. Congratulations to him and the Goddard Rockets there. So we're going to replay our interview we had with the district attorney's office. Yesterday we had Deputy DA Hunter Spindle and Jeannie Yeager, who's one of the victims advocates there for the district attorney's office, join us. And they come in each month. And, well, the DA's office, not specifically those two. They come in a lot, but anyway.
Talking lawn dogs.
Yeah, we talk lawn dogs, salsa, and all kinds of stuff, and just a little bit about, how the sausage is made in the district attorney's office. So always have a great conversation with them. So we're going to play that for you here in just a few minutes.
Very good.
Yeah. Before we do that, though, weather, by the way, no saboteurs at the National Weather Service today.
No?
Yesterday, cyber saboteurs. I don't know what was going on, but you go to the main National Weather Service page, it would pop up. But as soon as you put in a city, it'd give you all the text garble, the code goop. And it didn't matter what city. Like, because I was thinking, here we go, the Roswell Airport must be down or something. And I was like, let me try. So I typed my Waldorf, Maryland, my hometown. Sure enough, it came up either. So I was like, it's them. But today, smooth as butter.
Nice.
So that being said, here's your weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Things look fair for the weekend, but we have cool high pressure moving in from the central Rockies. That'll be keeping us in the low to mid 40s for the afternoon high today. Fairly light wind, though, up to 15 miles an hour, and we should get plenty of sunshine. Overnight, a few clouds, our low dipping down to about 20. Another cool day coming up on Saturday, mix of sun and clouds, and low 40s, about 50 on Sunday. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 24 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is at 12%. Winds are currently out of the north at 8 miles per hour. Today, expect sunny skies. Cooler than yesterday, unfortunately. 43 are expected high today. Winds will be out of the northeast, 5 to 10 miles per hour. They'll shift to the south later this afternoon. Partly cloudy tonight. Looking at an overnight low of 20 degrees. South winds at around 10 miles per hour. For you Saturday, mostly sunny and a high of 43, just like today. South winds 10 to 15 miles per hour. That's going to suck a little bit. When it's in the 40s and 10 to 15, it's going to make it a little colder. So that 43 is going to feel a little colder with those breezes. Saturday night, we're looking at mostly cloudy skies, 27 for an overnight low. South winds 5 to 10. Sunday, mostly cloudy. Looking at a high of 47, south winds at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday night, mostly cloudy, overnight low of 33 degrees, so pretty warm night, above freezing, barely. And then Monday, looking at a pretty pleasant day on Monday, mostly sunny, 63 for a high. They are talking some rain chances 20% Tuesday, 30% Tuesday night, and a 30% on Wednesday. But highs during the week next week looks like mid-upper 50s for most of the week there. All right, 8:19, we're going to take a 2-minute break, and then we're going to play our interview with the folks from the district attorney's office. Don't go away. You're listening to Mornings with Mike Winters.
Pecos Valley Production is excited to announce their online ordering has never been easier because now you can order from PVP online in Spanish. Simply head for PecosValleyProduction.com and switch the tab on the bottom left of your screen from English to Spanish. Now it's never been easier to get access to the healing and calming products you need simply
good morning.
and
It is
affordably.
22
Just log
minutes
on to
after 9 o'clock.
PecosValleyProduction.com and switch the tab on the bottom left of the screen from English to Spanish. Pecos Valley Production. Dairy to Dank since 2016. Must be 21 or over with valid ID to purchase.
At Artesia General Hospital, our board-certified podiatrists are committed to providing personalized care in a welcoming environment. Dr. Jennifer Chow and Dr. Michael Krupa offer the latest surgical techniques and treat a range of conditions including arthritis, bunions, joint care, and more. If you're suffering from foot, ankle, or lower leg pain, we can help. Visit artesiageneral.com/foot care to request an appointment and begin your journey toward happier, healthier feet.
Martine's Capital Cafe in Roswell offers authentic and highly rated New Mexico food. Explore their amazing menu featuring huevos rancheros or asado with eggs or their green chili stew. And you can't forget their award-winning green chili cheeseburger, all made from scratch using their finest and freshest ingredients. Open for carryout with curbside delivery or limited dine-in. Just call ahead 624-2111. Martine's Capital Cafe, always pleasing the most refined palate. Open Monday through Saturday from 6 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. at 110 West 4th in Roswell.
Wakefield Oil Express has the highest quality service in Roswell with a 17-point full-service oil change that includes a full wash and vacuum at their car wash. You won't find a better deal. They also offer full synthetic oil changes, fuel and cabin filter replacements, and will even check your battery. Their tunnel wash isn't afraid of dirty vehicles. They have the best value wash in town with free vacuums. They even offer wash passes that can be used for multiple vehicles. Next time you need your oil changed, go to the fast and efficient Wakefield Oil Express and let them earn your business. 3204 North Main, Roswell.
A Greek-Canadian man invented the Hawaiian pizza. His name was Tex Colorado, and he was from Detroit. Here's Mike Winters.
Yes. And good morning. It is 22 minutes after 9 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning from the District Attorney's Office, 5th Judicial District, we have Hunter Spindle with us here, Deputy DA, and Jeannie Yeager. I always forget your actual title. I can tell you what you do, but the actual name of it, I botch it every time.
So I have a couple of titles.
That's
so
probably why I botch it.
Yeah. So courthouse dog coordinator.
Yes.
Victim service coordinator, and then the VPP coordinator.
Yes.
So
Always you're kind of the heart of the DA's office a little bit.
No.
And heart, I mean, like you're the one that's got to be the calm in the room for everybody. You know what I mean?
The victim advocates, yeah.
Yeah, you know,
the victim advocates are, yes.
So I always look at that as kind of that, you know, you're the lighthouse and the beacon of the storm sometimes. You know what I mean?
Luckily, there's a lot of us.
For a lot of people, that's kind of.
Their job is to try to keep me sane.
Yeah.
And make sure I'm not talking, too high above who I'm meeting with.
I need one of those people.
She tries to put it in plain English because us attorney brains, we can't do it.
Right. Well, and let's face it, by training, lawyers think in a black and white world. You know what I mean? That's just, yes, you live life, but at the end of the day, a lot of what you're dealing with is black and white.
Correct.
And unfortunately, the legal world is full of black and white in a world that's in a sea of gray. So, sometimes when you think in black and white, you need someone that can see gray to remind you a little bit.
Well, if he sees the look on my face where I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Then he's like, okay, wait, I've got to change the language a little bit.
Gotta figure out how to change this.
Sure.
I gotta reach Gina.
I need someone to interpret for me.
Right. Plus you spent so much time learning Latin in school, right? So
Legalese more than anything.
Yeah. It's all Latin based, talking and all that. So, but anyway, for folks that don't know, the district attorney's office, a lot of times these two, but members come each month and we just talk a little bit about just life at the DA's office, what it's like, what things from y'all's perspective, basically. I went full on cowboy with the y'alls there.
Y'all.
But yeah, because we have our ideas based on our lanes we're in on how things work. And y'all, again, two y'all.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm Southern with you, man.
Y'all live in a world
Ain't nothing wrong with y'all.
that everything you do, there's a Hollywood version of it that people tend to think that's the way of the world. And then you have to separate. No, this isn't Law and Order. We don't solve the case in an hour. It's not how that works here. We got
TV sure makes things difficult for us.
Yeah.
It gives people a bad sense of reality. They think everything flows like the TV shows.
Sure.
And don't get me wrong, I'm as big a fan of like Law and Order SVU as probably
I would gather there's part of you that's a lawyer today because you like watching that kind. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It also aggravates me sometimes because I'm like, at least be, realistic. Don't say it's going to trial.
Yeah.
It shows the next day in trial. That doesn't happen.
Well, in my world, because I was in the military before, I was a bomb loader in the Air Force. So my wife loves the movie Top Gun.
Great movie.
She will not
My
watch.
favorite.
And I love the movie. It's entertaining. I love them. They're great movies.
The only thing about that movie, the best part about that movie is the volleyballs. When they're playing volleyball.
I get 3 guesses why.
It's a great scene.
But have you seen the more recent one?
I love the new one.
They do their version of that one is like
The
a beach football
yeah.
scene. But it's basically the same
Offense,
scene.
defense at the same time.
It's based on Star Wars.
Yeah, and no Kenny Loggins.
No, really, it's the same story.
Yes.
Top Gun?
Yeah, Top Gun 2.
I would argue there's probably about 30 movies that you could just parallel that whole thing.
But it was a regular great movie.
Yeah.
It was a good movie.
I loved it.
Yeah.
But anyway, my wife loves that movie, and I can't sit through that movie without guffawing and all the military stuff.
Right.
It's entertaining, but put it this way. I'll just say this and shut up, and then we'll move on to real stuff. But the second Top Gun movie would have never happened. That mission would have never been done by people. They would have sent some robot satellite thing and have been done in an hour.
Right.
We wouldn't have had a 3-hour movie to talk about that. But again, that being said, I love the movie's entertaining. It was fun and everything else. But if you're looking for realism, you might want to.
Well, half the time in the shows, like some of the objections and what happens, I'm like, that would never happen in real life.
Right.
I mean, or like where the defendant stands up screaming at the court or whatever. I'm like,
that has happened.
Yeah, but typically the judge doesn't just let it go
Right.
and nothing happens.
To me, just like based on my time as serving as a juror in a couple cases,
Right.
And I've spent a fair amount of time in front of the boob tube, so I'm an expert in that one. But anyway,
You have your law degree.
Yeah, that's right. I'm a doctor TV watcher. But anyway, but I know enough to know that. Plus, a lot of the drama soliloquies that the attorneys give in a court proceeding on television would never, ever. The lawyer just can't sit up there and pontificate for 20 minutes.
No.
Describing this theory to you.
I'm going to be objecting. Is there a question here, Judge?
You get a little license there in your opening and closing arguments. When it comes to testifying and interviewing witnesses and all, you don't get to tell this story to a witness and get them in a gotcha moment like that. You ask question, they answer. They ask question, you can't lead the witness.
No.
There's a whole thing called leading. You can't do that.
Right.
And
theatrics are a part of it at trial, for opening and closing and sometimes in your questions and how you do it. And a skilled attorney can maybe have a gotcha moment.
A bit of flair with it.
Yeah, a little bit of flair, but they're really, most of the time in most cases, there isn't a gotcha.
Right.
Because both sides know all the evidence that's coming. Now, maybe a juror member may be like, what?
Right.
But
yeah,
you're not going to get a whole room of. You're not going to have the gas moment in the room like you do on
not
TV,
typical.
where the kid that's been real. And everyone's like, oh.
Yeah. No, the courtroom's pretty black and white. There's very, very, very gray. There's not much of that gray area because you can't have it. And that's what a lot of people are like. Well, they're just doing this. There's only certain things that we can bring into the courtroom. There's only certain things that the attorneys can ask and bring in. So there's a lot of stuff that jurors, people that are in the courtroom, don't see
Mhm.
that the district attorney sees, and reasons why we bring the case to court.
95% probably of evidence we can't even use most of the
Yeah.
time. We can't put it. Now, granted, that's a varying case by case, but I mean, most people don't think about that. They know, like sometimes victims and family members know about all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, I understand that, and we know about it, but I can't use it.
Sure.
There's no way I can bring it into the
And
case.
social media does not help us
Right.
at all, because people are like, well, this is done and this is done, and people already have that in their head. So we're like, hey, if you guys know anything about this, you cannot be on this, because
Sure.
what you know and what you've heard, newspaper, news, whatever, is not what we can bring in. So we need
And unfortunately, that media and stuff can sway.
Yes.
Well, I have a case coming from Carlsbad that I tried prosecuting in Carlsbad that ended up in a mistrial that is now moving up here. So because of that very same thing, because it was a news article, about it all the time, that I didn't have any person on that jury that could sit there and be fair and impartial. And that's something I have to determine. And finding it is, can you sit on this jury and not come in with a preconceived notion,
Sure.
aka your mind is made up before you're already there.
I'm kind of curious, I mean, obviously you've got a lot of experience doing your job and things, but you're not 60 years old. You haven't been doing this for 50 years. You know what I mean? So
I'm 33.
Yeah. So I'm curious, like some of the other district attorneys and other attorneys that you deal with, some of the ones that maybe have been doing this 40 years and things, do they see a shift where a lot of cases that weren't mistrials are now, because of social media and more of that being in the mainstream now? Is that like, are we seeing those numbers increase over this time that social media is now more a part of the mainstream?
I would say yes, that we are seeing. It's not an astronomical shift.
Sure.
But it is
enough to notice.
It's significant enough to notice, and it's primarily on the big cases. Most people don't care about, a robbery, that sort of thing. We may have an article on it, but most people haven't read it.
It's one that's got the best dirt. It's like anything else. The one that's got the most gossip, the most salaciousness to it.
Right.
The most, and usually by that I mean relationship-wise, who begat who to what for what.
Yeah,
and that's
it's a lot
what
of
people
murders
care about.
and child abuse is really what.
That's where
what
people's
people care
interests
about.
are drawn. Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's because it's shoved down their throat.
Sure. Well, yeah, you look at, like, you get on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it today, and, you look at, I'm a stalker on that. I don't really engage,
You
but I
could
like
be arrested for being a stalker. You
Well,
know that.
yeah, I guess I could. And I just outed myself. But I just
I
kinda,
heard nothing.
I just kind of read and sit in the corner and be a wallflower and watch this stuff. But what you do notice is when you get to the part where the things you subscribe to are there, but then they're like, well, these are things we think you like, and we're going to send you over here. And that's where it gets inundated with, and I don't know why they think I like this. Maybe it's just because where I stop, but I literally get hit with all these videos of people getting killed or shot or dying, or incidents of something happening. And it's always those incidents. It's like, I didn't ask for this. You just decided I needed it. And it's a train wreck.
Yeah.
You don't want to see it, but it's a train wreck. You can't help but not look sometimes. It's just, it is what's going on there. And I think that's kind of to your point, Gina. We're getting so inundated
in
with
your
it.
face. And, the jurors are so important to these cases. They're the ones that hear everything, and they're the ones that are making this decision. And we really, really need jurors to be there and be on board and listen. And
do you think could this lead to where we're going to have to sequester jurors and stuff more often now? I know that's way too expensive to do that, but is it getting to a point where it could? That could be the path we're going?
Possibly. So jurors take an oath, and when they're sworn in, that they won't be like trying to look up the case or anything like that on social media. Try to read anything in the news, watch anything. If they're watching television and something about the news comes up, they're supposed to turn the channel.
Right.
Like they take an oath to do that. Can we prevent them from doing it? No, but if we find out about it, that's when we can move to try to have that juror removed and replaced with an alternate.
Yeah.
If we can get it. Now, if we have an issue at the onset before we even have a jury picked, then we may have to ask for a new panel or try to, move the case, that sort of thing.
So really, imagine it's when a case comes or when an incident happens, so to speak. I mean, you guys are attorneys. You see something in the news, so-and-so's arrested or something that's a big, case that everyone's seeing. Before it gets to you guys already have a heads up. It's like, all right, look, this one's got a lot of attention.
And sadly, sometimes I find out about a case because I've seen it in the newspaper.
Right.
Or because of, I see it on TV, which is not how it's supposed to be, but I can't always prevent that either. With my position on big cases, I'm supposed to be a phone call to let me know that it's coming. So I have a heads up at least before anybody else does.
Sure.
But
does this also impact the disclosure side of things for you? Whereas, and this is getting back to, again, real court is not like television here, where there isn't surprises. The defense attorney is supposed to have every piece of information that the prosecution attorney does.
Right.
Everyone should know the same thing, how it's presented, what is admissible, what's not. That's a different conversation. But as far as knowing the circumstances of the case, knowing there isn't again, to the TV moment where it's like, we found the murder weapon. That's not how it works.
No.
All of this is transparent on the table. Every attorney, every side of the case has a visual, and they have access to all of this.
Especially in New Mexico. New Mexico has an open discovery rule.
Right.
Where it's an ethics violation if I don't give everything over, good, bad, indifferent, whatever. Other states don't have that. I originally practiced in Virginia, and I can tell you in Virginia, the defense isn't entitled to anything until 10 days prior to trial.
Interesting.
And then if they want anything...
I agree with that.
No, I didn't.
Yeah.
And if they want anything sooner, they have to do a motion to the court and show good cause, is what it says, in order to get that discovery prior to it. So it's very open. It's open book here, and in a lot of ways, it's a very good thing.
Yeah, I was saying, because at the end of the day, and this is the problem, the media already puts the assumption of guilt on things.
Correct.
And yes, I get it. Looks like a duck, talks like a duck. We're going to think it's a duck. I get that.
Correct.
I'm a human being. I'm not stupid. But this is why you see the statue with the blind. Justice is blind. That's all that goes out the window.
Yeah.
You are, even if 30 million people saw you shoot that person, you're still innocent until we go through the details and determine without a reasonable doubt that the evidence points to you doing this crime.
Right.
And yeah, and okay. And this is where the devil gets the details. We all saw 30,000 people saw you shoot you, but why were you shooting them? Was it self-defense? Well, then, okay, you did shoot them, but is it warrant of you being charged with murder now?
Was there some mitigating factor, some intervening reason that it happened? Yeah.
And so that's why it's got to be that way.
Right.
You've got to turn over every rock to see what we're dealing with, to make without absolute any, reason of a doubt here that this person committed the crime that we're accusing them of.
Right.
And so that's why it's so important. And that's where it does get tricky, because at the end of the day, you're judged by a jury of your peers. Or, that's the term.
And the process is not easy. It's not easy on our victims, their families, witnesses. We're still dealing with COVID backlog. So memories, things change in your mind, which is normal. They tell you that you're not a robot. You're not going to remember everything that you said. So we understand that. But then people disappear. People move away. It gets harder for us to bring people in that were there. So when we have all this evidence, that person that told us that is no longer available. That piece is gone.
Sure. Plus, emotions change.
Right.
The closer you are to the incident, the higher the level of emotion.
Correct.
Also, more likely that they've got the gumption or the desire to see this to its end.
Correct.
As time passes, as hurdles hit, as roadblocks come in that kind of damper that mood a little bit, people's minds, time heals. They're a little less angry. They're maybe a little less cooperative and willing to prosecute this person. Especially if it's someone they're intimately connected to, a family member or someone.
And we see that a lot.
Yeah.
And you may have someone who testifies at preliminary hearing, and has a really good testimony during preliminary hearing. And then all of a sudden, we're getting up into district court and we're getting relatively close to trial time. And defense is asking, because they're entitled to it, to pretrial interviews. And now we're one of the only states who have what's considered a pretrial interview as a right. But they, defense may ask for it, and then we got to go out and find them, serve them in order to have them be there, be present. And if we can't find them, they're not present. They can try to move to suppress them or exclude them as a witness, and that could make or break our case. And a lot of people, I know, because I've talked to many witnesses and family members, because they just don't understand. Just because they testified at prelim doesn't mean I can use their testimony at prelim. I have to prove that the defendant caused them not to be there. Gotcha. And if I don't have any evidence of that, them just not showing up or us not being there, sure, I can try to get a warrant for their arrest or try to move for contempt. But at the same time, we have to weigh what is the best thing to do for that case. Because sometimes I want to get a warrant for someone's arrest for a trial and or a pretrial interview. But do I also want to arrest someone for that purpose? Could that prevent them from wanting to deal with police ever again?
Absolutely.
Or ever wanting to be a cooperative witness with the DA's office, for instance? And that's something I have to weigh.
That's something that I don't think a lot of people even realize that attorneys have to deal with. Sometimes you got to sacrifice the battle to win the war.
Right.
And what I mean by that, we're going to lose this case because of the evidence here. But if I try to do tactics here that at the end of the day still may not get what I want, may end up causing more damage to future cases and future incidents and stuff. So, I don't think most of us think about that, but that is a problem or an issue that attorneys like yourself, DAs, have to think about.
And the other aspect of that too is the emotional impact on the victim or the victim's families and that sort of thing. That's something we have to weigh too.
Sure.
And which a lot of people don't necessarily agree with, but a lot of times the victim or their family may be saying, no, I don't want to go to trial. I don't want to testify. Especially if it's a child,
sure,
it can be really...
there's a fine line.
There's a fine line, and there's been proven that they can have long-lasting effects,
sure,
like PTSD, that sort of thing.
I kind of garnered a question here, and it may be another can of worms, but it kind of, when it comes to that kind of, charging and prosecuting someone, like you said, if it's something particularly heinous, we're obviously conviction, everything, you 9 times out of 10, you need the victim's support to make the conviction happen. But like you said, there's cases where the victims aren't cooperating for whatever reason that is.
Right.
At what point, is there a point in it where something is so heinous or so, where you're like, I understand you don't want to prosecute, but what's going on here? We have no choice. We need to prosecute this person. Even, you know what I mean? Like if it's a rape or something, but the only evidence is but this person here, but it's like this is so bad. We can't just let them walk because you're not willing to cooperate here.
It's few and far between.
Okay.
I would say that. And Gina, jump right in if you can think of anything.
I have one right now that it's a homicide. It started out as a battery, and you know what I'm talking about now. The family, it's a family situation, of course, but they don't want it to happen.
Gotcha.
But we can't let them get away with what happened. So we have to follow through. We have to find justice. We have to find justice where we can. We can't always get it, and we hate that part of our job.
Right.
Our job is to make sure our community's safe, that we get justice for our community. Sometimes our hands are tied by the laws, by motions, by exclusions,
sure,
by all of this stuff, by victims, by witnesses. But our job, and the reason we're all doing our job, is because we want justice and we want to help our community. But there's sometimes that we can't get that justice, and it literally sucks.
Right.
But we just can't. Our hands are tied.
So is it kind of like the Al Capone move where it's like, we know this guy's a mobster killer and all this stuff. We can't prove it. oh, wait, tax evasion. Now we can throw them in jail. I mean, is it a little like that, or is it different than that?
So
go ahead.
It's one of those things that if the police know that this person did something, and we're having an issue trying to prove it, maybe they're a little bit more watchful of that person.
Yeah.
But I can't direct them to
Right.
do anything. So and I don't. That's that gets into that's blurring the lines between what is
Vigilante
my job,
justice to-
right?
There's no
and
gray
we don't-
area.
Yeah.
right? And I don't have the authority to investigate. Right? While we have investigators, their sort of cases, they can investigate stuff and they can try to file a case and then we can prosecute it that way.
Is
But
that
I
the
can't-
DA's office or just the deputy DA? Like, can Diana Luce come in and say, hey, something's shady here, I want to investigate that? Or is that what you're saying, the entire office, including her?
So she can direct our investigators
Okay.
to investigate.
She's got the final
because they're
say.
right.
Gotcha.
Right. Because she is Diana is the top law enforcement officer in the district. She can direct her investigators to investigate into something.
Gotcha.
But Diana can't be involved in the investigation. Neither can any of the attorneys.
Gotcha.
So we can say, okay, something seems shady here. We're going to send our investigators
kinda
to
has
look
to
at it. Right. Who are law
accuse or
enforcement
separate.
officers, that
Right.
sort of thing.
Because
They
she
have to be
kind of has the
certified.
dog in the fight. She's got to
Right.
got to play Swizzer.
Yeah, she just says, "Hey, please take a look at this, review it, and then from there, if you find anything, present it to me. We'll take a look at it, and then we'll see if it's something we can prosecute or not."
Okay. I was curious. I was just kind of,
Yeah.
we're talking here. I just saw the time, so I do want to change gears a little bit here.
Sure.
'Cause I want to talk about I guess we could say the more fun side
The more fun
of the
side.
district attorney's office. And, when, we were talking about Gina and how she works with victims and tries to kind of hold their hand through the process of going through a court proceeding. One of the big tools that this office is kind of spearheaded and created is what we call the DA dog program. And think of it just like you would like your Casa dogs or port animals. These are dogs that are specifically trained to kind of come in and just be, what dogs do, lovers and petters and, what
Make
they
you
do.
feel better.
Right. You're in a bad mood and the dog comes and puts a head in your lap and wants to pet you or
And get
rolls
hair
around
all
the
over
floor.
you.
Yeah.
The one person thing in the room that does not judge.
Yes, exactly.
Loves you endlessly.
Loves you
Happy
no
to see
matter
every time
what.
you walk through the
Oh,
door.
yes. Yes.
But and so really you guys have come up with this program that that we get these trained dogs that unfortunately cost a lot of money to put one of these dogs together.
Yeah.
But they are making such great progress in getting witnesses to feel more comfortable about sharing their experiences, which means more convictions, which means more people are getting justice, sir.
And it works. It works.
And that's what I'm saying. Like the attorneys, everyone in the room is saying, man, this has been a huge asset to our case here.
And the new attorneys that come in are like, okay, there's a dog. Until they use the dog. And Hunter's actually had the dog in a courtroom and
I have.
and seen it work.
So you're sold. You're like,
Yeah, it was on a homicide case, and it was with a child who was a victim, but it was his sister that was deceased, and the dog was with him the whole time he was testifying, and I mean it was
Night
and day difference between how he interacted just with me, how he did in court.
That was their friend in the room. They had something they could
Yes.
focus on.
Something they had control over.
And some
we've
people,
always
that's
talked
what
about
they-
control and hey, I told this dog to sit and this did it. Oh my gosh. And
Yeah.
then the dog like wiggles and smiles. Because our dogs smile.
Right.
They do smile.
Well,
Each
dogs are just by
Definitely
nature.
Yeah. Each dog has their own
Personality.
quirk,
Yeah.
personality. Kiki like wiggles her whole body.
Yeah.
Tina, who's in Hobbs, wiggles her whole body.
That might be a lab thing.
Duke is very like, oh, so excited, but he's got a goofy side, so he'll lay on his back. Beaumont will lay on his back, and when he lays on his back, he's got that upside down smile.
Yeah.
He will wrap around your legs, pretty much, or lay across your feet. So they have their
Just
own
different ways
thing.
of affection.
Yes, but
Right.
they will all lay right next to you. Will all just you can talk to them, you can pet them.
And when he got nervous, you could see him
Just as
kind
you
of like
reaching
reach
for the
down and
dog.
pet him,
Yes. And like you said, these dogs are not cheap. The price doubled. Of course, everything has doubled. We're up to $12,500 per dog. Luckily, we have a grant from Leprino to help with most of it. So we're still in the process.
But
of
do you
working.
need more than this?
We always, you always, when you have any kind of business.
That's why we do fundraisers for it.
Yeah, and this is kind of where I'm saying, if people are listening and they're listening to our conversation, and look, quite frankly, I'm sure they listen to it's frustrating the process that you guys have to go through.
Yes.
Well, this is a way that the community can get involved through this nonprofit and support and make an impact in there, because through these animals, we are getting good results. We're getting cases that may not have had a conviction are getting convictions now. We're having victims that didn't feel like they got justice are now getting justice. And it's all because we have a furry friend with wiggle butt syndrome hanging out in the room.
Right.
Doing this. So it is well worth the thousands of dollars it costs to get a dog trained to be able to do this.
And believe me, I was skeptical at first until I watched it happen. And I know some people probably listening here be like, "Oh yeah, well I have a dog, but what's the big deal with it?" People are different with dogs. I mean, let's just be
There's
honest.
There's trust.
Right.
People love animals where they don't necessarily love people.
Right. And especially kids and victims of cases. They feel protected by them and they feel safe with them.
Absolutely. So get involved, support.
Yes, please.
You guys are always looking for volunteers to help raise money, to help do various events or various type of fun things to raise money to support the DA dog program.
Yes, and we have a couple events that we've already started on the works, and I kind of want to run through this. I'm not sure how much time we have.
We got about 5 minutes here.
So we started the nonprofit a few years back due to budget cuts for the state. The handlers, some attorneys had talked, but so the handlers got together and we decided that we needed to keep the dog program going, but we knew the state couldn't afford to keep the program going. They needed the attorneys and personnel more than the tools. So we started the nonprofit and we lease the dogs, $25 each to the state per dog, $25 per dog to the state each year to be under their liability insurance. The foundation pays for everything else for the dogs, for the handlers. So there's not much out of pocket for the state. The handlers volunteer the extra time. But we wanted, like I said, we saw what it did and we wanted to keep this going.
Sure.
We are starting this, I'm starting to interview for my third dog.
All right.
So our third generation.
Do you have a dog
is 6 and 6.
translator to speak dog?
I know, yes. Yes, we
Gina speaks dog.
Gina speaks dog.
You know the roughs.
It's like Gina speaks dog.
So I go up in February to start my interview process for my new baby, for the 5th for Chaves County, Eddie and Lee. And of course, if the state needs us someplace else, Diana's very gracious of loaning us out to go take the dogs to those other counties. But we have a salsa sale coming up.
Everybody loves salsa.
Yes. So we have
homemade and excellent.
Hot, medium, mild. We'll have it. We're calling it Super Bowl salsa. So we'll deliver on, I think the Super Bowl's the 12th or the 9th.
Yeah, it's at first or second week of February.
Yeah. So the Friday before Super Bowl, we'll be delivering salsa.
Okay.
We're working on a Dog Days of Summer fundraiser auction type thing.
Okay. Like a silent auction or
yes.
cocktail combo.
We're trying to figure that out. We're in the works. We're talking on that. And then we have our golf tournament set.
Okay.
And that is going to be October 19th. So this will be our second one. First one worked out great. We had blast. Those are our main. We'll have little ones in between. We'll do more salsa throughout the year, but those are our main ones this year. And that's what we're doing to raise.
How much is the salsa going to be?
It's going to be $10 a quart, and it's a
quart jar.
So it's a good size.
Good deal. So if you need,
it's not a little bit.
So if you need a gallon, you need 4 of those bad boys. So,
yes.
How does one get salsa ordered?
So the dog's Facebook page, which is 5th DA Dogs. I always get that wrong.
If you type,
I was like, don't ask me, I'd be lying.
If you type in 5th Judicial District DA Dogs, it should pop right up, I'm thinking.
Or you can find me, Gina. You can track me down. I always have, you guys can reach out to me on my Facebook page, of course, and it's Gina Yeager, or my cell phone at 575-626-2422.
Or you can call the office and we can
You guys can find me there as well. I mean,
just ask for Gina.
Awesome.
yeah, I'm easy to find.
You're going to eat gallons of salsa anyway this in the coming weeks. We don't even need a Super Bowl to do that.
No.
We're going to do it anyway. So stock up, get you enough for Super Bowl. And what's going to happen is you're going to be like, oh, that salsa's good. I want to get some more, but you're going to be out because you literally drank it all at the Super Bowl. So you're going to need a
And
spare.
it has been done.
Yeah.
I have the opposite problem. I always buy too much to where I'm like trying to get it done before it starts going bad.
That's right. That's when you're like,
It's freezable.
That is true.
well, that's when you start calling your questionable friends to come over and visit to finish the salsa.
Come eat salsa. Chips and salsa. What else are we doing? Nothing. Just chips and salsa.
Bring it to the office. Just bring it to the office.
Good news is there's a lot of it.
Right.
But reach out, and that way you can get two. That way you got one for when you wish you had some, but you gave it all away at the Super Bowl party. And you got some here.
And the extra hot is my favorite.
Oh yeah.
It's so good.
So, or just for those connoisseurs, like for medium, is that like New Mexico normal medium or the rest of the world's medium?
New Mexico.
Okay,
medium.
just checking.
No.
Because I know if you get these people from, pardon the joke, but New York City, they do, their medium
Salsa
is
with
not,
no flavor?
Yeah, their medium is not going to be
Yeah.
our medium.
No.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And the extra hot's hot.
Gotcha.
I mean, it's like
It'll
it's-
light you up.
It makes you sweat. I'll
Yeah.
put it that way.
I do like hot, but when it's to a point where I'm just crying because I can't eat,
But
then
you
I'm
don't
like, that's
stop.
yeah, you keep going.
Yeah.
Well,
That's I'm like, all right, maybe we should back it off a little
Right.
bit.
What I like about the hot and the extra hot is that it's still full of flavor. It's
Yeah.
not just heat.
Well,
that's the problem that you.
And that's why I kind of like
Is that cilantro?
the Latin spice versus more of like an Indian or Asian spice, because to me that Latin spice has flavor,
Right.
where Asian spice is more about hot, and it tastes like hot. You know what I mean? Or like you eat a green chili, there's flavor there.
Right.
You eat wasabi, and I'm like, I taste hot. I taste nothing else but hot. So
I don't know. I love me some Asian food.
I love
And
Asian food.
And Asian hot. And
I
like
love Asian
hot,
food,
so-
but I just tend to.
When I go to Thai, I always get Thai hot. 'Cause
I'd rather have a jalapeno or a green chili versus a ghost pepper or some Indian pepper,
Right.
something like that. Just me.
No, but we appreciate everybody's support. Like I said,
Absolutely.
the dogs are there. It's one of the tools we have at the district attorney's office to help our community, and that's all we want to do.
Absolutely. So please, if you want to get involved, it's a great way to get involved. Please, if you want to, maybe you love doing salsa or you love planning events and want to volunteer to lend your services to help the DA dog program, because it really, and the other thing I want to do, we're in the legislative session, just get underway. I know probably not a lot for this one, but to me, I look at this as like, we get this money coming in for mental health and all of this. I could make an argument that this program would qualify. Yes, we're talking the legal side, but let's face it, this is mental health related stuff. Why can't we invest that money into this? To me, maybe that's a conversation with our legislatures and, some emails and things to maybe put that conversation
And
on
I'm
the
going to
table.
say one more thing. If you guys don't like the laws, reach out to your legislatures and your senators and your reps and talk to them. They're the ones up there making these changes. So
Absolutely.
Because I can guarantee you the DA's office doesn't like a lot of it either.
Oh, and I love that, that you guys are raising money and doing all this, but, and I'm not saying we shouldn't, but you should get help for this. There should be, maybe they can't pay for it all. I get it. Money, I get it. But this is a worthy enough program that the state needs to invest actual money into it and stop making it a charity case. It needs to be part of the solution and part of the curriculum, not looked at as some Western medicine mumbo jumbo weirdness.
Right.
It is legitimately helping, making a difference. It is doing good things for our legal system, and it also helps with mental health. These are intertwined, one and the same. We need to put these together.
And if the state would help, the more DAs would get these dogs.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah, we don't have enough of them in the state.
Absolutely. So when you're writing your legislators about everything you're seeing in the session this month, slip a few of those notes in there too, just to put it on the radar, to Nothing's going to happen this next 30 days, obviously, but you got to put the bee in the bonnet. You got to set the table. You've got to put this on the radar for legislators. So when they realize they champion, then it starts getting into the right committees and the right meetings and all that good stuff. So thank you guys so much for what you do.
Thank you for having us.
Anytime. We look forward to these conversations every month. And if we need more or less or anything we can do to help out that, obviously as we get close to these tournaments and these different events here for the DA dogs, we're going to need to get you in a little bit more to promote those and get some sponsors and get.
We would love that.
That'd be great.
Fork over some cash for this.
We would love that. We will. The foundation, the 501, will take your money.
It's money well spent.
Yes.
This is, if you want to fix problems in the state, these are the kind of things that fix them.
Right.
This is what it is. It's you look at I'm already going over time. But you look at medicine, and medicine is like preventative or give you a pill to fix it. And there ain't no pills in the legal world to fix this. It's outside of the box thinking. It's thinking from things from a different perspective without compromising the spirit of what we're trying to do here. Yes. And this DA dog program is the antithesis of that type of thinking to me.
Thank you.
So thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Make the state better one dog at a time.
Absolutely. This is how you do it. You do it this way. And there's no other way to do it. It's just, they'll tell you 20 different ways, but it won't. It'll may feel good, may sound good, but it won't do it.
Right.
Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mike.
All right, 10 o'clock. We got to go. Thank you so much for allowing us to be a part of your day. You're listening to 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM, KEND Roswell.
New York, where yesterday a plane slid off a snowy taxiway in Rochester.
Storm system moves through and brings the snow. It's just going to reinforce some of that cold air, especially across the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast.
And on the West Coast, Oregon's governor has declared a statewide emergency after days of freezing rain and the tragedy in which a pregnant woman, her 15-year-old brother, and her boyfriend slipped on ice and touched a downed live wire. All three were killed. I'm Donna Warder.
In snowy Washington, D.C., they're gearing up for the 51st annual March for Life. The American Life League's Hugh Brown says today is the day. Abortion is the issue.
We as Christian people have got to pray against it and then have got to actually take action. Because if not us, who?
Correspondent Greg Clugston.
This year's march is the second since the Supreme Court struck down Roe. Pro-life leaders celebrated that victory, but acknowledged the movement faces significant hurdles. In recent months, 7 states, including Ohio, Kansas, and Kentucky, have voted to keep abortion access legal. March for Life President Jeannie Mancini has said the battle to build a culture of life is far from over. After a noon rally on the Washington Mall, participants will march to the Capitol building and Supreme Court.
Used home sales sank last year to a nearly 30-year low as mortgage rates climbed to the highest level in more than 2 decades, pushing home ownership out of the reach of many Americans. On Wall Street, the Dow is up 110 points, the Nasdaq 72 points higher. More on these stories at townhall.com.
Everybody wants cheap airfare, but where do you find it? You call low-cost airlines. Their prices are direct from the airlines, and they're so low you can't find these fares published anywhere. They specialize in cheap flights, discount hotel rooms, cheap car rental rates, and great package deals anywhere around the world. Wherever you want to go, they can help you get there cheaply and with a best price guarantee. If you want the lowest prices on your airline tickets or other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 866-755-5300. That's 866-755-5300. Again, that's 866-755-5300. Call us right now.
Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu standing tough amid mounting pressure to ease up on the terrorists in Gaza.
Israel is facing calls from most of its Western allies for restraint. And this is Mr. Netanyahu saying, I'm not going to move on this, and I'm going to carry on until I achieve, in his words, total victory. That is a sign that he is relying very much on the his cabinet, who have threatened to topple his government if he does not stay the course. It is a sign that he is going to try to hinge his political survival on pursuing the war and stopping the Palestinians from getting a state.
The BBC's Mark Lowen. Next week, NATO launches its biggest war games in decades. Roughly 90,000 personnel set to take part in months-long military exercises. Steadfast Defender 24 aimed at showing Russia that the alliance is determined to defend all of its territory. News and analysis, townhall.com. Groundbreaking research offering future hope for those who suffer liver failure.
Surgeons at the University of Pennsylvania attached the liver of a pig to a brain-dead human body and watched it successfully filter blood. The liver was outside the donated body. The idea is to eventually try the technique in patients with liver failure. For decades, animal-to-human transplants have failed because people's immune systems rejected the foreign tissue. Now, scientists are trying again with pigs whose organs have been genetically modified to be more human-like. The FDA is considering whether to allow a small number of people who need a new organ to volunteer for rigorous studies of either pig hearts or kidneys. I'm Ed Donahue.
Looks like there will be no government shutdown this weekend after all. Congress has given final approval to another of those stopgap spending bills. This one will keep the lights on at least until March. More on these stories at townhall.com.
What in the wide, wide world of sports is going on here?
I promise you, whatever scum did this, not one man in this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat. Yeah, come on.
I feel the hot wind on my shoulder and the touch of a world that is older. I hit the switch and check the number. I leave it on and then I slumber. I hear the rhythm ringing through it. Flamenco guitar and cumbia music. I hear the talking of the DJ. The travel listen, what does he say? I'm on a Mexican radio. I'm on a Mexican radio.
Broadcasting live from high atop the J.P. White Building in downtown Roswell, New Mexico. It's Mornings with Mike Winters on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM.
Is that what I sound like when I talk?
Now, here's your host, Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 6 minutes after 9 o'clock. Welcome to hour number 3.
Crazy weird
of Mornings with Mike Winters right here on 106.5 Roswell's Talk FM. Happy Friday, everybody.
I just noticed.
Yeah.
Did you do that on purpose?
Do what on purpose?
Phone's off the hook.
No, I didn't know it was off the hook.
I just noticed that. It's like, oh, look at that. No wonder he's not returning my calls.
No, that was purely accidental. I don't know how that happened. Must have bumped it or something. I don't know. It's kind of hidden behind my monitor, so I don't. Sean actually can see it better than I can from where he's sitting.
This chair is sinking. It's just slowly sinking. I've adjusted it twice now today.
Maybe need a musical chair since that one gets a lot more seat time than the other chairs. And we need to rotate them like tires.
This chair's telling me something. It's like, you've been pushing it a little bit, fatty.
Well, and every time I have a guest, that chair's always filled.
Oh yeah.
Like if I have one guest, they sit where you're sitting. Mm-hmm. Then if there's 2 or 3, then they go to the other chair.
It almost always goes from here this way. Nobody ever uses 2.
They like 2.
It's a hidden corner.
Yeah. What happens if there's 1 or 2 people? Mm-hmm. Generally, 60% of the time, one of the 2 will try to do the movie seat puffier thing.
Right.
Like when you go to the movie, it's a dude thing. But when 2 dudes go to the movies, there's a 60% chance they'll put a chair in between them.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's the same concept.
It's a buffer.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then we have to tell them, well, sorry, there's a camera element. You got to have a third person to sit in that chair. So.
It's the urinal concept.
Yes.
Which, by the way, here's another fun urinal conundrum for you. Sure, there's the buffer, obviously. When you walk into an empty bathroom, let's say truck stop bathroom, line of urinals, let's say like 5, maybe 6.
Yes.
Where do you go?
End.
All the way to the end, and that is the correct answer.
Yes.
If there's not another person there, you need a wall next to you.
No, if you're in the
Or a
middle, you're a
stall.
savage because you're in essence saying to people, "Hey, come pee next to me."
That's what I've seen that before though. I walk into a bathroom and there's like six urinals, and I know ladies have, what's a urine? It's a foot washer.
No, you don't want to go in there.
But there's always that one dude like right in the middle. I'm like, oh, you are a selfish piece of garbage.
Yeah, that is.
Come pee in my domain, everyone.
You have committed dude faux pas number one in the bathroom by doing that. There's etiquette to this, and you have to teach the next generation the etiquette in the bathroom.
If not us, then whom?
Yes. I get it. If you're in older establishments and there's the trough concept instead, there it makes it a little harder for intimacy. However, even in that move, if there's two troughs, you don't go to the same trough. And if there's only one trough, you go to the complete opposite end of the trough of the other person.
And if possible, face the other direction. Like
at an angle.
Yeah, camera angle it.
Yeah, don't turn it to where you're facing the guy and be like, chili burger, huh?
This is something you don't really see anymore, or maybe I just don't go to the right establishments. What was the deal with putting ice in the troughs?
I think it was to cut down on the stink and the
Is the stink or the splatter? Because it definitely didn't help with the splatter.
It may have been the splatter. I think it was supposed to tone down the grossness of the room.
It's possible. My mindset always just went to that's just where they kept their spare
And
ice.
I feel like you only see that in places that lack air conditioning or lack all of the amenities that a facility requires.
Right.
For most, you know what I mean? Like there could be a plumbing issue too.
That
Could be they just need more water to go down.
It just helps it
the
flow.
drain, and so by peeing on the ice, it creates more water, which means maybe it prevents pee from just sitting in the trough.
That's possible.
That's maybe that would be the most. If I had to think about it, the reason why one would do that.
And what's really funny, and this tells you everything you need to know about every man you've ever met being a overgrown 7-year-old.
Yeah.
I've never in my entire life seen an aim game for women. There's a lot of those you go.
Well, they're not watching what they're doing.
I understand, but I'm just saying we feel that we're the only gender who feels the need to gamify bathroom relief. Like
we gamify every aspect of our life. Men, by and large, and I'm not but we make games out of everything. And my case in point, I know you dudes have done this at some point in your time on Earth. Road tripping, driving on the interstate, doing your thing. In your head, you're playing Mario Andretti racing. You're like, that SUV I've been riding with for 20 miles, I'm going to pass him. I'm going to get up to that. Every single guy does this.
Oh, yes,
and don't
100%.
act like you don't.
And you know what the even better feeling is when you do if you're doing that and then you do have to stop for whatever reason, kids, or you have to go to the bathroom, and then you manage to get caught back up.
Yeah.
Like that's like your lap vehicle almost,
And then the more modern version of that is don't have any cars because, just out in the middle of nowhere, you can't drive in long places around here and not see vehicles. The GPS is your new one where it tells you estimated time of arrival 3:17. Like I could beat it. I'm going to shave 20 minutes off that
and
bad
you just
boy.
try to see how I did that coming back from Oklahoma. I'm like, let's see how much we can shave off this.
That's
bad
the
boy.
more modern version of the same thing. But yes, and every guy does it, and many women do too, I bet. But
now the question is, do you do the follow-up thing of if you do manage to give yourself an extra window of time, do you then at that 30 minutes later be like, I would have just been getting home right now.
Yeah, I've done
Look
that.
at all this time I've just saved.
Yeah.
And then you like in your head start going through like the inventory of the things
right.
that you did. The
I'm home and
activities.
unpacked. If I stuck to the speed limit, I wouldn't be unpacked right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's a dude thing.
That's totally a dude thing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, we have, they'll put games in the urinal and stuff, for us to maintain aim. They should put like a putting green in a woman's stall, Now, granted, I don't go into a lot of women's stalls. Maybe they do things like this, but.
Well, and again, I know I'm stereotyping and gender lumping and all that here, but there's got to be some truth here. Women are much more social creatures than men are. Women have conversations in the bathroom. They will sit and talk.
Right.
That is a huge faux pas in the men's bathroom. Unless there's an attendant in there, then yes, you have to do a customary how you doing.
You have to ask.
Because the poor guy's handing towels to everybody in the crapper for hours.
Because you have to turn to him and go, what went wrong in your life? But no, women's bathroom, you're not wrong. Like, I had to go into, full disclosure, I had to walk into the women's bathroom here on this floor to turn the light on for my daughter. That's all. But in that doing so, I saw they have a full like makeup counter and chairs and a gigantic like vanity mirror.
It's a social room.
It is.
It's a social room. Where men, it's the complete opposite. Because if you're hanging out in the men's room looking for conversation, you're probably looking for some other things. And guys are just like, look, I'm here to do. And quite frankly, part of the activity of which a man does in the bathroom is in public display.
Mm-hmm.
You know, hence the urinal thing. Every time a woman evacuates, it's usually there's not someone staring at you somewhere in the room. You know, there's even if it's your feet or something. But you know what I mean? The guys, if it's a busy room, 3 or 4 people at any given time standing there physically removing things from their body.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not the time to say, how's the wife and kids, Bob?
Right.
It's just not.
When things are in hands, I'm not much for conversation at that point.
Yeah.
There's certain bathrooms that you just remember and that like stay in your brain. There's one bathroom. It's in an establishment here in Roswell. I don't know if I want to mention the name. But in this bathroom, there is 2 toilets sitting side by side.
Bombardier and a co-pilot.
All I can ever
That's
think
what we call
is
this.
that like if you want to go and hold hands with somebody while you're making?
Yeah. I was in the military and I was in the Boy Scouts. I've seen many. I've seen a 4-seater. We had a bombardier, a co-pilot, a navigator,
and somebody
and a gunner.
Jump seat,
and a gunner. We had the whole. Sorry, that's how we did it.
But yeah, it's just that every time I see that I'm like, who's this for? There's no separator or divider.
Yeah.
Just for couples who really want to feel close.
Yeah, I've seen the 4-man crew before too.
Boy, y'all do everything together.
But it's kind of no different than like if you ever look at like old Roman bathhouses and things like from Roman times and yeah, you look at those. It's all communal. It literally has 7 toilets. It's like a bench with holes in it, and there's like seven slots there for you to sit down and do what you got to do. So it's and I don't even want to get to the Middle East. You're lucky you're sitting there.
This way, there's a reason we shake right-handed. All right.
They have a place to keep your feet from slipping. That's all I'm saying.
I've seen those. And actually, if we're being honest, that's going to provide the most evacuation comfort for your body.
Until you're done. Then what do you do?
Right.
Because, I forgot to tell you, there isn't a roll of toilet paper sitting there either. There's not even a spot to put one.
That's why you always travel with your 3 shells.
It's not like there's an empty roll sitting there on the carpet.
Right.
Someone said, we don't need that. Why is that in this? So, just saying. So, maybe the 7-seater ain't so bad.
At that point, yeah, at least you got seats.
Yeah. All right. We're going to replay our interview with Matt Bristol. But I do have to thank McDonald's.
We told you all that to tell you this.
Not the smoothest segue in my career here, but big thank you to McDonald's for sponsoring the show. Download the app, utilize it as your friend. You can use it to dine in. You can use it for drive-through. You can even do make delivery through the app, and super convenient. And matter of fact, a lot of times, because I'm not a delivery guy, when it comes to McDonald's, I usually get it myself.
Right.
But I see many a time, almost every time I get on the app, they're willing to give me like first free delivery for free the first time. So if you're like, hey, I'm in a pinch, but I don't even really have extra money for that, the first time's free. So you can just save a little coinage of that first time. And then you're like, it's very convenient. I'm going to make sure I have money for the next one. But it's a game changer. So download it, utilize it. It is your friend. We all go to McDonald's at some point in your life. During a given week or month, you're going to be walking into McDonald's at a given time. Might as well make it the simplest, easiest, most efficient way with the best service, best food possible. So download that app. It'll save your day.
And it's fish sandwich season. Oh, by the way, the double Big Mac is back for a limited time.
Ooh.
Yeah.
In my world, now especially since on the app you can get a double fillet of fish every time, I'm going to say 75% of the time I order something from McDonald's, there's a double fillet of fish on the menu or in the list of items I'm getting usually. So Every season's fish season in my world.
Fish season. There is no season.
Yeah, it's
Fish knows
just
no
me.
season.
All right, 9:18. Let's get you up to date on the weather.
I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton with your Pecos Valley weather. Things look fair for the weekend, but we have cool high pressure moving in from the central Rockies. That'll be keeping us in the low to mid 40s for the afternoon high today. Fairly light wind, though, up to 15 miles an hour, and we should get plenty of sunshine. Overnight, a few clouds, our low dipping down to about 20. Another cool day coming up on Saturday, mix of sun and clouds, and low 40s, about 50 on Sunday. That's your latest forecast. I'm meteorologist Steve Hamilton.
Thank you, Steve. Currently 27 degrees here in Roswell. Humidity is, I scrolled up to our, humidity is at 46%. Winds currently out of the north at 9 miles per hour. Cooler than yesterday, but not as cool as earlier in the week. That's the positive spin I can put on it there. Mostly sunny and a high of 43 today. East winds 5 to 10, shifting to the south later in the day. Partly cloudy tonight, overnight low of 20 expected. South winds at around 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy for your Saturday. Once again, a high of 43. Winds will be out of the south, 10 to 15 miles per hour. Tomorrow night, mostly cloudy, overnight low of 27. Winds will be out of the south, 5 to 10 miles per hour. Mostly cloudy Sunday, high of 47. South winds 5 to 10. And then Monday, when you head back to work, mostly sunny skies, highs in the 60s, 63. And then looks like we'll be floating in the mid to upper 50s for a good hunk of next week. They do talk about some rain chances, like a 20 to 30% chance Tuesday night, and into Wednesday, but we'll see how that shapes up. All right, 9:20. We're going to take a 2-minute break, and then we're going to play our interview we have with Matt Bristol from Bristol Law. Don't go away.
The Artesia Arts Council presents Gunhild Carling, Sweden's Queen of Swing, Saturday, January 27th at the Ocotillo Performing Arts Center in downtown Artesia. Gunhild Carling and the entire family of musicians, singers, dancers, and more promise a dazzling evening that you and your family won't soon forget. Pre-sale adult tickets are $35 and $25 for K-12. Week of show tickets are $45 and $35. So get yours early at artesiaartscouncil.com. Enjoy the marvelous Gunhild Carling, Sweden's Queen of Swing, 7 p.m. Saturday, January 27th at the Ocotillo Performing Arts Center in downtown Artesia. Paid for by Artesia Lodgers Tax.
Hi, everyone. This is Melanie from Glenn's Furniture. When was the last time you looked forward to sleep? Let's be honest here. You know a restful night's sleep has more health benefits than you consciously think about during the day. Here at Glenn's, we carry Serta mattresses, and they've been in the business for more than 90 years. Choosing one can be hard, but I want you to know we have your back. Come see us at Glenn's on the corner of Union and Alameda in Roswell, where delivery is free since 1953.
Over the next several weeks, we want to give you 5 key elements to a great marriage. This is taken from an article by Drs. Les and Leslie Perot. Hi, this is Pastor Troy and Julie Smotherman for The Joy of Marriage. The first one is ownership, taking responsibility for the good as well as the bad.
1 Corinthians 11:31 says, "Judge yourself so you won't be judged." It's talking about the judgment of God, but it also applies to our relationships, especially the ones that are closest to us, like marriage. If you'll just take responsibility for your own actions, it's so much easier for our spouses not to have to point out and criticize us.
So we have to take responsibility for our actions and our reactions, our attitudes and our mistakes. You know, most people would learn from their mistakes if they weren't so busy denying them.
You aren't responsible for what your spouse does. You are responsible for doing your part. So just decide today to do your part and take ownership.
It's possible to turn peanut butter into diamonds. Peter Pan tried it with his buddy Skippy, but they couldn't do it in a jiff. Here's Mike Winters.
And good morning. It is 19 minutes after 7 o'clock. And joining us in studio this morning, Matt Bristol with Bristol Law. Good morning, Matt.
Morning, Mike. You're sounding a lot better than you did on Monday.
I do. I'm not 100%, but and it's effort, less effort. That's why I can talk and have a back and forth without feeling like I just did a workout or anything.
So. Yeah, Monday you were really, really bad. I'm glad we gave you a rest.
And that was pretty good compared to the week before. So this is almost. Jeez. I feel almost normal. I don't feel like I'm some weirdo invalid and everybody walks in the room like, where's that guy? But anyway, for folks not familiar, because usually we talk to Matt on Mondays. So if you're not a normal tuner into Monday mornings in the 7 o'clock hour, Matt Bristol joins us each month from his office, Bristol Law, and he is an attorney, deals with family law, things like that, but we kind of talk a little bit all kinds of law here.
Yeah.
And, of course, just gives sage legal advice when it comes to financial planning, when it comes to knowing legally what to do with your money, whether it comes to being a business or a family. We'll talk a lot about estate planning, things like that, things that Matt sees a lot in his practice, that if people took some of this advice, Matt would make less money each year as an attorney because he would have a few less caseloads.
Pretty much, yeah. But it keeps me in business, so that's a good thing.
Business is good, and but in the meantime, maybe Matt can save you a little time hassle and save you a little headache down the road.
Yeah, we do a little bit of everything, like you're saying, and we do estate planning. We've done consumer bankruptcy. We do family law, all sorts of aspects of family law, for example, and so every once in a while in the family law arena, we'll have somebody come in and they'll say, well, I want sole custody of my kids. And I'll ask them, okay, so what does that mean to you? And I get all sorts of weird answers. I don't know so you're a lay person. What would you think sole custody means?
Well, to be honest, the way I interpret sole custody is one parent is the guardian of said child and is in charge of all access to this kid, to the others, basically, and usually it's, when I see it, it's because one of the two parties is not fit to raise the kid. So when I hear that, it's because they want no contact with the other party.
Yeah, a lot of times they'll say exactly that. Well, I don't want my ex to ever see the kids, and so, good luck with that. I mean, unless they're on meth or a registered
right, you have
child
to be,
offender.
you have to prove that they're like a danger to society.
Oh, yeah.
To really qualify for that.
Yeah, it's got to be a really, really extreme example. Well, New Mexico actually has two kinds of custody. So one is the statute's called physical custody, but the court likes to refer to it as time sharing, because time sharing is a lot less emotionally charged word than the C word. So one type of custody is time sharing. How much do the kids spend with each parent?
Gotcha. Because that's when you hear terms like joint custody.
Well,
is that kind of in that frame, or is that different?
That's different.
Okay.
The word joint is used in a different sense.
Okay.
So the other custody we have is called legal custody, and that's where we use the word joint.
Okay.
So joint legal custody is presumed by statute to be best for the kid, and that has to do with decision making. Because back in the bad old days, when the kid lived mostly with mommy and dad had Tuesday night visits, say, and mom would go sign the kid up for karate on Tuesday nights. And dad was like, what's up with that?
What are you going to deny the kid karate?
Yeah.
So it's it's a tactic.
Yeah. So now with joint legal custody, all decisions affecting the child have to be joint decisions.
So in theory, and I'm getting a little what if here, but say mom wanted to sign their kid up for karate on Tuesday night. With this, does in essence the karate people have to have both mom and dad's signatures to let the child play karate? Is that or is that too in the weeds here?
Yeah, I don't know if the karate people, excuse me, know that or not.
Okay.
Excuse me. But mom is not supposed to sign the kid up for karate without talking to dad. It
Gotcha.
be a joint decision. Say join the chess club, got to be a joint decision. Choice of religion's a joint decision.
Gotcha.
In theory, the kid can't even join the church choir without it being a joint decision of the parents.
How does that work for like healthcare and stuff? Because obviously it's joint, but say there's an emergency situation. I mean, I guess in a normal marriage, one or both can sign to permit to. So I'm guessing that's probably
If there's an emergency, you take care of the emergency.
Yeah,
And
I just didn't know because when you get to kids and they have to do some kind of procedure on them, you got to get permissions to do those things.
Right. So if a kid has some kind of elective medical event, then that's supposed to be a joint decision. But if the kid's broken his arm, I mean, you take him straight to the
Gotcha.
ER.
I didn't know if there was like, well, we can't set it till dad says it's okay.
No. But joint legal custody also means that both parents have access to medical records. They both have access to school records. They both have equal access to all parts of the child's life.
One can't deny the other that information. When one calls the doctor to find out the status,
correct,
they get the information.
Yeah. Yeah, so doctors' offices are usually pretty aware if there's a joint legal custody situation that the other parent calls up and asks questions. Yep, they got to answer the questions.
Gotcha. Makes sense.
And then time sharing is, the judge is going to alternate weekends as much as possible, depending on work schedules. So time sharing really revolves around work schedules.
Sure.
And so if you got someone that works in the oil patch, say, and they're like 10 days on, 3 days off, well, guess when they're seeing the kids? On the 3 days off.
Exactly.
But if,
So
parents...
you can't really make a set schedule per se. It's like every other weekend because that just doesn't work in that world.
Right.
Yeah.
In that particular world.
Yeah.
Both parents have, Monday through Friday jobs. Then they're going to alternate weekends. Yeah. The court's going to alternate holidays in some fashion. And so really what it boils down to is where's the kid Monday through Friday? And again, that's going to predominantly fall on work schedules.
Sure. Who's available more? More than likely will be the one that's responsible for the child during that time. So
yeah. So I had a case where I represented mom of child, and there was a father of child, and then so father of child wanted like 50-50 time sharing. So even if it's 50-50 time sharing, we don't use the word joint. We don't use the word joint on the legal side.
It's like a vacation home.
So my client says, well, but he works all the time. Okay, what does work all the time mean?
Yeah.
So we get his pay stubs, and he's working 80 hours a week. I mean, lots of overtime. Well, how's he going to have the kid when he's working 80 hours a week, and he lives in Roswell but works in Artesia?
Exactly.
So now you got that drive every day. And so it just wasn't practical for him to have the kid Monday through Friday because he's working, 12-hour days.
Kid'll be home alone.
Days.
Yeah.
So he was a little unreasonable in that regard. Now, if he'd cut his hours or something, okay, we'll talk. But so really work boils down to, work schedules. And when I try to bring people down to that level, it takes a lot of emotion out of it, I hope. I'm trying to take that emotion out.
Well, you really, really hope for families, and this is where it gets away from the legal, and let's act like adults here. You really hope that those families can work out some of those details without the court's help. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you work 80 hours, but look, I know you're off the next 2 days. I'll bring the kid over and you can have the kid for the 2 days. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You would hope they could work that out to okay, we can set guidelines here and set parameters, but at the end of the day, can you all be adults and do a little give and take when the circumstances change in your schedules?
Well, that's a good point.
Yeah.
And actually, that is the preferred method. So the written order of time sharing in the court's eyes is actually Plan B. Plan A is just as you're saying, the parents are flexible, they work things out. Yeah, so I got a free day off, can I see the kid? Or, can you switch with me on a particular day? Something's come up. If the wife wants to go shopping with the girls in Albuquerque, then she should call dad and say, hey, you want to flip weekends or do something. So in the court's eyes, that's the only written order that the parties can both agree to ignore.
Gotcha.
And the court wants the parents to work things out.
And they encourage you to do that.
Oh, yeah. But getting there is sometimes a hard process.
Absolutely. Well, depending on how emotional the divorce is, absolutely. If emotions are high, then guess what? This one's going to be a dogfight to work out the details. But if everyone's calmer heads or there's a little less animosity there, or at least they can put that aside for the sake of the children, then things tend to work a little bit smoother.
Yeah, and I ask people, Mike, do you really want some guy in a black robe who doesn't know you, doesn't know your kid, making this decision?
Exactly.
It's your kid, and you got a spouse or other parent, and you guys need to decide what's best for your kid, not some stranger.
Well, and also, too, when life changes and when things change, it's a lot easier for you to change it between the two of you than getting the judge involved to change it.
Yep.
To change it, it's just a matter of a conversation between you two. Now we got to get lawyers involved, court involved, and petitions involved, and all kinds of things.
Well, there's the financial cost. There's an emotional cost on both parents. There's an emotional cost on the child, and surely there's got to be an easier way to do this, folks. If somebody just kind of acts a little mature.
The biggest piece of advice you can get when you're dealing with this stuff is look, I know emotions get high, but let the calmer head prevail. It will work things out at the end of the day so much better, even if you don't get the total outcome you want, because you're dealing with family blood here. You're dealing with children, and there is no, line in the sand type emotional stuff in human nature than that right there. So it just is.
And I remind people that, until somebody passes away, you're stuck together. So when that kid goes through 6th grade graduation or 7th grade graduation or high school graduation, prom and all that kind of stuff, your birthdays, you're stuck for a long, long time. And to be able to start now to, concede, make agreements, get along in a business sense at least, it's going to make their lives a whole lot easier in the future.
Yeah.
Because at some point, Matt's out of the picture, but those people are stuck together for a long time.
Absolutely. You will be dealing with them the rest of your lives. That's just
right.
The nature of the beast.
After college, who they see on Thanksgiving or Christmas and grandkids. And so if people can learn to, at least in a business sense, work things out.
And I know we're starting to get a little to the therapy side more than the legal side here, but how I just my 50 years of being on this earth and seeing how humans do things is where I come from this piece of advice. How you interact with your significant other and how that whole process will greatly impact your relationship with your children. Mm-hmm. Because when you two fight, you're in essence forcing your children to pick sides.
Right.
And that's going to create animosity. That's going to create deep seedings that may not bubble to the surface now, but 20 years from now, when your child is an adult and they're living their lives and doing their things, that might impact your relationship with them.
Oh, absolutely.
These are the things you need to consider that it's really hard to see when you're hyped up in the emotional side of things. So that's really what, I'm just like, you got to think big picture in terms of these. If your head is not in the big picture at the end of this, you're probably going to come out with an outcome that you're not too happy with.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there are some parents, they try to use the child as a weapon against the other parent, or they send messages to the kid, and that's going to backfire. The kid's going to resent that. Seen cases where the kid misbehaved, didn't do their homework, didn't study for the exam. It's like, okay, so your punishment is you can't see your dad this weekend. And that is absolutely wrong in the court's eyes. That is not the proper way to punish the child.
Absolutely.
By depriving the other parent of his time with the child.
Yeah.
So it's, a little adult perspective would be a good thing.
Yeah. And I get it. Sometimes you learn these things on the fly. How you think, this is the beauty of people that have gray hair or no hair, like Matt and myself. We probably screwed up 3 or 4 times to get to this point where we're telling you the right thing. You know what I mean? That's that wisdom of life sometimes.
Well, and so I've seen cases where, it's a young child, a divorce with young children, but I've seen cases where they've been divorced 10 or 12 years, and the kids are teenagers. And so you see at different stages what has developed from good behaviors and early on or bad behaviors early on.
She was curious in generalities here, because you do handle a lot of these kinds of cases where you're dealing with the family feud, so to speak, here on this. Is there a single 1 or 2 items that are always the crux in every one of these situations? Is there a commonality there that you're just like, I don't know if it's an emotional thing or it's a line in the sand or just a mindset that one party has that is consistent in all these that really is kind of that key to making this difficult versus something that's a little bit more manageable?
No one thing. So if there's infidelity in the marriage, the other parent is going to want the kids, and the other parent, then the non-faithful spouse, well, they shouldn't see the kid. They weren't faithful, and so it doesn't work that way. A lot of times we see where there's a divorce with a young, especially a baby under the age of, say, 5, and dad wants 50-50 custody or time sharing. And mom says, hell, he never spent that much time with the kid when we were married.
Right.
I did the diapers. I put the kid to bed. I fed the baby. I clothed, bathe the baby.
You're a parent in name only over here, and I'm doing all the legwork, basically.
He didn't spend an hour a day with the kid. Now he wants 50-50. What's up with that?
Right.
And the answer is, well, the court's going to give him a second chance, and moms don't want to hear that.
Well, and unfortunately, it probably gets into a case where the only way dad or mom, whoever the party is, that the other party here, would get less of that is if a child abuse situation happens under their care at that point.
Yeah. So there's so if there's child abuse, if there's meth, then the judge is going to do something about that. Fortunately, we don't see a whole lot of that, but sometimes there's a parent with a personality disorder,
right? A mental health issue or something,
and that mental health issue or personality disorder, which involves actually some kind of mental abuse of the child simply because of the disorder. So it's not a smack the kid around with your fist kind of thing, but it's more mind games with the child just because of the disorder.
Now, kind of getting back to the, because we kind of talked about sole custody here at the beginning and what that means and all that, or what you think it means. And I kind of mentioned, you talk about, unless one parent is not fit. So is really the only criteria that the law looks at in terms of a parent being fit or not fit to raise the child? Is it physically, if it's either they have a drug issue or in jail or, currently wanted or criminal, are those the only, or an abuse issue? Are those the big ones, or are there other factors that can actually disqualify a parent for custody?
Yeah, those are the big ones. So if there's a parent who is basically homeless, maybe they're living in a place that
don't have amenities to support a child.
They should be red tagged.
Okay.
Some of the utilities are cut off. There's no food in the refrigerator. They don't have a steady job for more than 3 or 4 days.
That's probably a gray area, right? Because it's like, okay, well, the utilities are work. I mean, because not everybody lives in the same lifestyle of living. Is that a dirty house or is that a non-functioning house? And probably dirty's not necessarily the big factor unless it's a health and safety violation. But they don't keep house good enough is not a cause for being abusive, I'm thinking.
Well, but there's ranges of what's the definition of a dirty house. So if they don't pick up the clothes off the floor, okay, they got a messy house maybe. But if there's, dirty diapers on the floor, if there's animal feces on the floor, if there's food and pizza boxes with pizza still in them
stuff
on the floor.
Stuff that can get people sick if they go in there.
Now we're saying that's not a good environment for the child.
Right.
Now you're bordering on, maybe they're not an evil parent, but they're just...
And that's why I was kind of delineating that, because, that's the devil's in the details on that one, because I'm sure there's going to be accusations there. Right. Oh, look, he's got this, and she's got this going on, he's got this going on. And then the other side is like, no, I don't do the dishes every day, and sometimes I got a stack of dishes in there.
Well, let's say mom's a health nut, and then dad says, okay, let's go to McDonald's. And mom says, well, that's an unhealthy lifestyle. And the judge is going to say, well, it's a different lifestyle, but lifestyle choices don't make bad parents necessarily.
That's true. It's true. Opinions on how to raise the kid not necessarily qualify or disqualify if you were being unfit to raise the child.
Right.
At the end of the day, you're the parent. You're responsible for raising this child. How you do that is your business. As long as it doesn't impact, negatively the child, you know?
Yeah, I had a case where Judge Romero appointed me to mediate between two divorcing parents. I think the girl was 14. And so dad had this written out time-sharing schedule. It was very good. And so I said, okay, well, let me talk to the mom. And mom says, nope, daughter didn't want it. And I'm like, okay, well, let's talk to the daughter. And so when the 14-year-old came in, I had one of my staff ladies come in too, because I'm not about to be alone in a room with a minor child.
Right.
And so I'm, young lady, your dad's written this out, and it looks very nice. It's well written. It's very fair. She says, I don't want to do it. And I said, well, he's your dad. And pretty soon, man, she's bawling her eyes out.
Right.
It's like, oh shit, what happened?
Right.
And he had a personality disorder. And so one time they're driving to Artesia highway speed and getting some argument, and he's driving, and he leans over her, opens her car door at 65 miles an hour and says, well, if you don't like it, get out. Yeah. And then another time.
Wow.
Yeah. And then another time, I don't know what was going on, but they were in a car, it was stopped, and some argument, and he reaches under his car seat, pulls out his pistol, and says, well, maybe I'll just shoot myself.
Jeez.
Yeah, he was out there. So I wrote up a report to the judge and said, she should only see the guy when she wants to. And the guy had a mental disorder.
Right.
Personality disorder.
And that's kind of where it kind of steers me into the next kind of in this world here. When we talk about the children, is there legal? I mean, each case is probably way differently, but is there legal criteria for how much say a child has in these decisions? And I mean, obviously age of the kid and all that comes into play here, but is that by judges, how much weight that carries, or is there some legal stature that judges have to follow to say, well, this is what the kid wants. By law, that's what I should. I mean, how does that come into play?
So the law says paramount is what's in the child's best interest. And then there are certain statutory considerations. The judge is supposed to consider the age of the child, how close the child is with each parent, and there's like 8 or 9 factors the court's supposed to consider in these cases. Now, at the age of 14, the child's wishes must be considered by the court, but the word is considered.
Gotcha.
Okay.
There's no legal obligation to abide by that.
The judge does not have to follow what the kid wants. Otherwise, the kids are going to be, well, Dad will give me a car if I go live with him, so I'm going to tell the judge that. So the judge is required to consider the child's wishes, but not to necessarily follow the child's wishes.
Gotcha. So it really depends on the judge how much, and this is where the judge has his or her spidey senses and kind of, all right, this looks like it. By leaving with them, it's going to be a bad situation. Maybe go, just kind of feel the room a little bit and use their skills to kind of determine what's best there.
Well, and see, some kids, I had a 12-year-old actually one time interview with the judge down in Carlsbad. Oh, I forget his name, long time ago. And so she walks into his room and chambers, and she tells him how the cow ate the cabbage, just flat out, blah, this is what I want. And you get some kids get in there and they get nervous and they stutter or they don't tell the complete story.
And you wonder how much behind the scenes each parent is in the kid's ear, pulling them in left or right there. Yep. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm sure that's more common than not common in some way, shape, or form.
And some parents are that way, but again, that's one of those things that in the long term will backfire.
Absolutely.
I'd much prefer. Okay, let's see how much we can agree on. The judge is going to alternate weekends. Let's agree to that. Somehow the holiday is going to be split. Let's talk about get that done, and let's agree on as much as we can and find as little to disagree about as possible, and then go in there and say, hey, Judge, we figured all this out except this one thing. And we just need you to flip a coin and use your wisdom and spidey sense. And,
sure. Be the arbiter in this one.
Yeah, but it's really, really bad to go into court and spend 3 hours throwing trash at the other parent.
Absolutely.
Because now you're stuck together the rest of your lives and you're going to have all this bad feelings. It's just not good, folks.
You get it. And this is where the part where, you as a lawyer, you kind of look at like legally this is here, but, take my lawyer hat off for a minute. If you guys can, I get it. Y'all couldn't get along as a married couple. It didn't work out. We get it. But let's, it'd be one thing if it was just, the two parties here going their separate way. But because of this marriage, you've created a third of you, a part that is both of you now. And so now for the rest of your lives, you've got that thing. And 99.99999% of the time, both parties are going to go through a war for that other person. You know what I mean? You know, most parents are going to die for their kids.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just, you know, that's the mindset. And so if we can agree that we're willing to die for this kid, can we at least put our differences aside to say what's best for not you, not me, but our children or child? And if you do nothing in this divorce but make that decision, this will get so much easier, and you will have a much more positive outcome at the end of this. You still may not like each other, still may want to hang out, but at least you both can agree that the priority one is the children that the marriage created.
Absolutely.
If the marriage was south, but there's still a chance for the best thing that came from it to thrive, flourish, and have an amazing life. And it all will start on how you two can work together.
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, that's soup to nuts. I mean, we get all philosophical, we can get all, but that's just the plain God's honest truth. If you can figure this out, it will go better for you. If you let people with degrees and robes make all those decisions, you're going to have animosity. You're going to have, and I guarantee you'll probably have the rest of your life dealing with dusts ups and tussles and various sticky situations because no one can put their differences aside and just agree for a minute.
Yeah.
Or work on it for me.
Yeah. So if people learn how to make agreements, then the situation is now something that they've had input and had decision making on, and people tend to feel better about that. But if the guy in the black robe is making the decision, now that's something that is imposed upon people, and very rarely are people happy with that kind of stuff.
And to be honest, they make decisions that are a lot harder to undo if it's not the right decision.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If the judge didn't get it right, because let's face it, the judge isn't in your home 24/7 and doesn't know every single aspect of your life. That's impossible.
Yeah.
And so
That's right.
The only one that does are the parties involved. So let's have the people at the end of the day with the best information to resolve this. If that makes sense.
It's the parents themselves.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, any other real things we want to cover? We got a few more minutes here.
Okay. So I'll give almost every single person what's called the custodial parent speech. And that is their job to have communication going from the child to the other parent, even if the other parent doesn't reciprocate. So that means, you have the child send the other parent a Happy New Year card, have Daddy Be My Valentine card. There's Mother's Day, Father's Day. Oh, but he already has the kid on Father's Day. So what? Get a card. Birthdays. When school starts, take a picture of the schedule and send it to the other parent.
Yeah.
The kid brings home a good test grade, take a picture, send it to the other parent. Thanksgiving card, Christmas card, a little $10, $15 gift card, something like that. It's your job to make sure the kid's information is flowing to the other parent, whether the other parent reciprocates or not. That
Absolutely.
is the job. I had lunch with my judge buddy, and he asked how often I give the custodial parent speech, and I said, well, just about 100% of the time, but I'm sure I miss it every once in a while, but I try to give it to everyone. He says, wow, I wish everybody would do that. Because you're supposed to do that.
Well, and this is, getting to personal, this is what I know about you, Matt Bristol, the man, is that you're a lawyer, and yes, you do your legal thing, but you're also that one that knows I'm dealing with human beings, I'm dealing with personalities, I'm dealing with things that go beyond the law sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, and folks, if you ever need a lawyer for an extended period of time, these are the kind of things you need to research when you're picking your attorney. What's their, quote unquote bedside manner, so to speak, on this one. And that's where, Matt, in your experience has told you, like, look, I'll do what you want legally here, but listen to me on this. You don't want to do it the way you want to do it because it's not going to end the way you want to do it.
Yeah.
And that's, and not a lot of lawyers will always do the best things for you if it's just, it's not all lawyers are always on your corner, as you're saying.
Yeah, they don't always take that extra step, but we certainly try to.
Yeah, and that's so, please, just, personal note, with all from the legal sage advice. When you get in these situations, you're going to want people that have compassion, care, and understanding. And I can tell you just from my personal knowledge of conversations with Matt and in my own personal dealings with Matt on things, he's that guy that will be the guy that cares and stuff. So, God forbid, I hope you never need Matt. But if you do, Matt is going to be a good guy to be in your corner when those times hit.
Well, hopefully nothing ever goes south for folks.
Absolutely here. So pay attention to that kind of stuff. It's divorce is such an ugly thing. It is so, because at the end of the day, not all parties walk away completely happy. On the surface maybe, but deep down, it is a signification of something that failed. And that's never a good thing. So
it's very seldom a good thing, and everybody's standard of living goes down because now you're supporting two households instead of one, and so it's.
And for the love of God, even if you hate that spouse, like Matt was talking about, send the cards, send the thing. The way you feel about your spouse and the way you communicate that to your children will greatly impact your children's opinions of your spouse / their other parent.
Yep.
It just does. Even so, even when you're the most frustrated at your ex-spouse here, wait till the kid leaves the room before you kind of vent your frustration here, because you don't want to create that relationship. You want your kid to have a good relationship with all your parents.
Right.
It's just don't let your hang-ups translate to your kid. Don't let it happen.
Yeah, and send it, you have the kid sign the card and send it to the other parent. And I tell people, keep copies of this stuff, because maybe the kid's 8 or 9 now, signing cards and letters, and then they become a snotty little teenager and says, "You never let me see my dad." And so you can trot out the scrapbook of, "Oh yeah, well look at all these cards and letters I had you send."
Yeah.
And then, remember when you fought me on this one, and remember when you didn't want to sign this one, and I was always trying to be positive, so don't be a snotty little teenager.
That is the most lawyer answer, because emotionally it's there, but it's all evidence based. So you're like, here's the evidence.
Yeah, well, sometimes kids need that reminder.
Absolutely. A lot of adults do too. But it's.
And I tell folks, when you're doing that, do it for the grandparents on both sides.
Absolutely.
Happy Easter cards to the grandparents or whatever. And it's just good karma.
It's just one of those things. Once kids enter the equation, it's a for life situation here. You're dealing with that person the rest of your life. Hopefully, stay married and it's a good thing, but know when it ends, if there's kids in the relationship, you're just going to have those relationships. You're going to have to be a good parent, which at this point, that's all you got here in this situation. It's like, the marriage didn't work. I'm not a good spouse anymore. At least be a good parent.
Exactly.
And that's how you do that. So
Exactly.
We got time for a little factor.
Fiction and fact.
Yes.
Matt's Almanac. So in Roman times, there were marble sellers just like there are today. In fact, the funny thing is, one of my grandfathers from Greece, and he didn't talk about the old country much, but we talked to his brother, his Uncle Harry. Uncle Harry, what was it like in the old country? He says, in the kitchen, we had marble. In the bathroom, we had marble. Everything was marble. He says we couldn't afford wood.
Perspective.
Yeah. So in ancient Rome, there were marble sellers, and sometimes if there were imperfections in the marble, they'd coat it with like beeswax, some kind of wax would hide the imperfections. So the word for wax was cero. If you know anything about Spanish, if something is with something, that's con.
Yes.
Chili con carne, chili con queso. Without means, the word for without is sin.
Okay. I was like, I took 3 years of Spanish, but I don't remember that one.
S-I-N.
Gotcha.
Sin means without. So, because, these dealers would use this wax to hide defects, that wouldn't, considered a really good polite thing. But if it was the real deal marble, it was really high quality and there weren't any defects, it was sold without wax. So the word wax is cero, without means sin. So that's where we get the word sincero, sincere.
Interesting.
It's the sincere deal. It's the real
because
deal.
the marble was flawless, and that's what it's from.
It didn't have any wax. So, and 2,000 years later, we're using the same word. It's just amazing to me.
It is cool. It is cool how the evolution of some of this evolves over time, and even back to your point about perspective, it's like wood was too expensive. That's why everything was in marble.
Yeah,
and it's
we have to ask Uncle Harry. Well, what did you eat? And he says, we had pheasant, we had lobster. It was whatever we could catch.
It's all gourmet now.
Yeah, all gourmet now.
It is. It's just it's an interesting thing. Now, if you need if you're going through any kind of family issues, or if you want to, maybe it's time to make a will or do some of these type of financial securing of your family for the future type
give us a call.
Legal stuff.
Yeah.
Matt Bristol and his office can help you. If you go to bristollaw.net.
Right, bristolawoffice.net.
Net. I knew it changed over. bristolawoffice.net. You can go there. You can kind of read all about the different services, types of law that Matt can help you with. And, of course, you can set up a free consultation to sit down and talk your case. And Matt can, hear your story, and he can tell you from there, you know what, you need a lawyer, let's get this thing going. Or, you know what, if you go down to the office and file this form, you're good to go. Right. Whether it's a 5-minute fix or something that requires him to roll up his sleeves and help you out, he can tell you and do all that.
And there are probate court forms and some district court forms that are fill in the blank forms, and we help people fill those out all the time. Lawyers can be expensive. And so for a consultation fee, people bring in those forms. We tell them how to fill it out, and they rock and roll.
It's very affordable, and it'll save you a whole mountain of headache. Because trust me, these things can get wordy, by design sometimes. And it helps to have someone to navigate you through that.
Yeah, and I've had people say, well, thank you so much. They tried to make an appointment somewhere else, and they were told, we don't fill out forms. You have to hire us.
Well,
Expected to brave low temperatures to gather in the nation's capital. Also at townhall.com, forecasters say a second storm expected to bring snow to New York after causing chaos further south, while the Pacific Northwest could see another round of deadly ice. The forecast comes as storms in the past 2 weeks have blasted much of the country with wind, snow, and sub-freezing temperatures that are blamed for at least 45 deaths.